All right. Hello, hello. Welcome. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's doing well. We're gonna be back at it with Raging Loop again today. I was supposed to play fighting games, but I could not leave Raging Loop where it stood last time. So as such, we are gonna continue. We're gonna pick up right where we left off yesterday. The VOD isn't even on YouTube yet, so I would tell you to catch up, but it's not even there yet because it hasn't been 24 hours. Either way, thank you for hanging out. A couple little news items. We are 4 followers away from 300, which is super exciting. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're just, stumbling across the stream, I know it doesn't happen as much with the VN streams, but if you do happen to stumble in, I'll bring this up again later. Drop a follow, be much appreciated. If you follow on my socials as well, I would appreciate it very much. I have my debut planned. I was gonna wait for 300 followers, but I just couldn't contain it. So I have my debut planned. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Expect some promo materials to come out in the next week, but that is going to be next Saturday. That is going to be the 18th of June. We're going to debut all my backstory, a little bit more about me, and really do it right. I don't have a model to debut. I wish. I just have this, but hi Koyo. So I don't have a model to debut for the debut on the 18th, but a lot of other stuff. And I have five other VTubers that I'm going to be playing exhibitions against. Another one came through today for Bluu. So I'm going to be playing all that. 5 first to 5s. Super exciting. Plus a little bit of backstory, detail, and things like that. So look out for that. So Raging Loop, we're going to get into it. As always, this is full spoilers. I know I only just said this yesterday, but this is full spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on Raging Loop or you want to experience it yourself, absolutely, this is the time to go. Or mute the stream. No, that'll still spoil you. Never mind. It will all be on YouTube. You can follow me on YouTube and get it all that way if you'd rather experience it that way. Okay, so where did we leave off? We left off at the end of the second loop. Everybody died. We found the wolves. We solved the mystery. But so it kind of went 2 ways. They got backed in a corner and then killed everybody. And then we prevented that from happening. And even though we ended it peacefully, we got Mako out of the town. Kyonosuke went crazy and killed everybody, showing that someone's going to go crazy. I think it's basically impossible to escape the Feast of the Yomi Purge at this point. Freaking, like, Kanzo and the Old Man Who Cried Wolf. The Old Man Who Cried Wolf, Kanzo said he's always been like that. But I don't think he's always been like that. I think he got like that because of the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Kind of how Kyonosuke did. So, we'll see how that plays out. And now we are on our 3rd loop around, and we are about to start the feast for the 3rd time. So let's go check it out. Oh, sorry, the music cut abruptly there because I thought it would transition better into the Raging Loop. He may have gone through one before Kanzo was there. That's a good point. All right. Game sound I have to turn on. Yes. Okay. I hope we're almost done with this game. I've enjoyed it a lot, but I do hope that we are approaching the end. It feels like we're approaching the end. I hope they don't drag. I don't know what you could really drag out much more with the 3rd loop. There's not really another love interest or anything like that. Unless the Kaori arc. Okay. Load game. Okay. So this is now the darkness route. I'm telling you, it would be sick Wolf? Oh, like if we were the wolf? That would be cool. Okay, reanalysis. After parting ways with them, I went to Kari-san to help me. Oh, wait, hold on. Whoa! Oh, that was, okay, that was godlike. I actually nailed that. I actually nailed that. Okay, phew. So anyways, this is exactly where we left off. Looks like my bandwidth is holding up too. I hope I didn't curse it. Maybe it's just a Tuesday thing. Maybe I just shouldn't. I won't be able to stream on Tuesdays anyways. Once DNF drops. But yeah, maybe it's just a Tuesday thing. I thought so. Did she have memories of my seducing? No, of the previous loop? What? Kari-san, do you have a hand towel? Okay, so Chemi's crying again. Something similar had happened last time, too. It wasn't impossible that someone else had memories of the previous times. Particularly this girl, considering her mind had traces of madness. What? Crap. I stared at her for too long. I had to talk it off. Well, I actually feel like you're familiar, too. Have you ever been to Kanto? No. I see. Then this must be something special. What's wrong? You're all red. No, no, I'm not. Oh. Huh? Was she easier than I expected? Bro. She's in high school. Chill. Maybe android-like coolness was the way to go with her? Whatever that was. Oribe-san, I have completed the repairs on these plates. Whatever should I do with them? Cool manner of speech, robotic movements, playing with people's impressions was a bad habit I had. If this is a horror route, I might be pissed. Oh, bring them over here. Wait, weren't you talking differently until now? Acknowledged. Executing. Appreciated. Messerschmitt. Eat this! Human banana! What? Whoa! Mochi closed in on me, shouting some weird skill name, instantly undid my belt, and he pantsed us. Hey, some undies you got there. Hey, Chikamochi-kun. There are some things you can and cannot do. When else could I have done this? Well, if you looked at this as a joke, it was definitely well timed. My android-like coolness, whatever that was, instantly became a gag. His skill left me so dumbfounded that I just froze in place with my pants down, effectively giving a treat for the ladies and waiting for a response. How did this girl see this pantless android-like cool guy before her? And again, what was android-like coolness anyways? What the fuck are we even talking about anymore? Guys, I am losing my mind. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Haruaki has gone insane. I'm just gonna let her carry this one. It's too good. It's too good. I also don't want to scream right now. Not a positive reaction. Of course not. I tell you, if I get a soundproof booth, I will scream to my heart's content. Mochi's prank effectively gave her the worst possible impression of me. It's the route where we die immediately because we got exposed. Haruchan had kicked my exposed ass over and over again. The two boys stopped her, and then she, breathing heavily, fled into the dining hall. The guys followed soon after, leaving just me and Kaori-san. Am I in the wrong here? I'll scold them later. She was red all over since then. It was awkward as hell. I distracted myself by getting back to fixing the plates. Eventually, we were joined by the old wolf guy, Meiko, and Rikako-san. I wasn't quite done with my job yet, but just like last time, I was given a break, so I went outside. Yeah, why do we get hit? Well, it's because we didn't block. I mean, right? She's singing the song of the Song of Shinai. Oh, Fusaishi-san, I see you are hard at work. Is that a play on words? Getting close to Rikako-san was important for both survival and finding out the truth. I still had some affection for her, as well as memories of our time together. However, last time, when I'd felt a similar way about Chiemi, I was hit with a big surprise. It wasn't just Chiemi, though. The Feast of the Yomi Purge seemed to bring about a total change in the nature of all the people. If Rikako-san became a wolf this time, I wasn't sure if she would instantly kill herself, like she claimed she would. In fact, as a wolf, she would know Mako's guardian, or lack thereof, leaving the humans at a huge disadvantage. And most of all, if I got too close to her, it would make parting with her a whole lot harder. Even if I lost some of them, I had memories of the previous loop, so this was actually a big deal for me. The emotional strain would gradually pile up, and eventually, even a guy as warped as me would snap. Thus, I would only get close to people as friends. That was probably the best way to go about this. I had no idea who'd even be alive once all of this was over. It was even possible that there'd be no one left. It's an old song about the teachings of Great Lord Shinai-sama, the incarnation of this mountain that keeps us alive. Shinai's guardian... Oh, yeah, that's just the song. She was teaching me the song now. I actually knew it by heart at this point, and the memories it was tied to made it a lot harder to listen to. But I acted like it was nothing. Death of the Damned. Sing along? I'm not singing along, I'm sorry. It's hard because I can't really sing like while the voice actor is singing. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Also, you never want to hear me sing. I wish I could be a karaoke VTuber, but it's not. Nobody wants to hear that. I'm so bad at singing. I looked away and saw Chiemi snickering as she waited for the right time to pop out. And then she jumps out. Oh, hello. Huh? She knew exactly what she was doing with the sudden appearance. How mysterious. Drunk Ryer karaoke? Yeah, that has been known to happen. That's been known to happen, and sometimes involuntarily. I tend to sing along after a few drinks. Were you hunting or something? Oh, no, but you're close enough. I just helped Kanzo-ji-chan prepare one of the beasts he hunted down. I see. That suits you. What the hell? That kinda hurts. Crap. I accidentally remembered what she was like back then and gave a sarcastic comment. If she'd been telling the truth back then, she'd wanted to kill me ever since we'd first met. That meant that even now, she was... Hold on. Did that mean that all that stuff I jokingly said about her being a murderer was on the mark? After all, the 2 shotguns were hidden in the room, even back then. Hold on. The first time we met, our very first encounter was among the rocks near Saranaga. I picked up her flashlight, and then she called out to me. What was she even doing back then? It was late at night, yet she'd taken a flashlight and gone down the dangerous cliff to reach a locally taboo area, the Saranaga. She'd also said this. Listen, I just really wanted to kill. Yeah, I even returned back home just because I wanted to kill someone. Those might have been nothing but words to make herself seem like the big bad wolf that she was. However, it wasn't unlikely that she'd come down to Saranaga because she was doing something worrying. She'd probably been there on this timeline too, we just hadn't met. Maybe this time she'd actually finished whatever she was doing there. Well, no one had gone missing or anything, so it probably wasn't murder, at least. It still made me curious. I was definitely attracted to her cheer, tact, and mystery, but this time I would focus on exposing the secrets of Yasumizu itself. He who hunts 2 hares catches neither. He who OS's 2 options gets hit by both. I would only consider her to be a potential hazard this time. Hey, I'm just saying that your wild image suits hunting. You honestly seem like a feline animal, Chami-chan. Ah, Chami-chan. I like that. Interested in letting a carnivore have a taste of you? Oh no, careful. Old lady jump scare incoming. Oh, how indecent. Please, call me Rikako. What the hell? Hey, you can call me by my first name too. What a mess of an exchange. Though it had still served to decide what we call each other, so that was fine by me. Oh, you're flirting now, auntie man? Suddenly, we were joined by Haru-chan, holding a stick. Die! I was actually getting chased by the girl because of loot stuff. What was this? Some 20th century manga? Auntie man? Pantsuman? Pantsuman! I was worried that nickname would spread, and I'd really hoped it didn't. Pantsuman. I couldn't have predicted that I'd run out of time just calming Haru-chan down and preventing that nickname from taking root in their minds. The mist. No way. Meh. No! Not the mist! Was she afraid of the mist because of whatever happened 8 years ago? Yes, dummy! Haru-chan, calm down. Chami-chan. Where should she go? In the spur of the moment, I went and called her by her first name, which I was pretty sure she didn't like. But no time to care about that now. I'll take her to the dorm. Where will you go? Oh, right. I've ended up staying in the prefab. Huh? Why there? What about the hut? I'll be staying there every day starting tomorrow, so I thought I had to let the visitor have the better place this time. Haruaki-sama, how considerate. Stop wasting time. Hurry up. Rikako-san, you take Meiko-chan. Very well. Meiko, it is time to cleanse, shelter, and dream. Okay. Haruaki-san, I'll show you a shortcut. Let's go together. Haru-chan, can you walk? I think that's to do with the town, Red. I think the town turns people into geniuses or just like 5 IQ people. Looking at Chiemi, she nodded and picked Haru-chan up. Not another. No. She was pale, her expression was empty, and her body was shaking, locked in the fetal position. Just what had she seen in the mist? What had she gone through? I hesitantly tightened my grip on her. She meekly grabbed onto my jacket. I had no idea if I could get along with her, but it wasn't impossible. While on the move, I noticed Hashimoto-san head to the hut I provided him, so all seemed good on that front. After leaving Haru-chan in her dorm room, I said goodbye to her, Chiemi, and the 2 guys there, who were waiting for Haru-chan in worry before making their way to the construction site. You can get there easily through the path behind the dorm. Don't slip along the way. She'd also told me about how to prepare for the feast, and was generally pretty nice about it too. It was pretty annoying that I couldn't just tell her that I knew all this. By the time I'd arrived at the prefab, the sun was down. I began by checking how I'd fare here. I took only the bare minimum of food and water I had here. I came prepared, but I didn't want to have to use the bathroom until morning. That was the shabbiest sleeping spot yet, but since I was still pretty awake, that allowed me to think a bit more. It was time to assess the situation. Ooh, jam. First of all, there were 2 things I had to keep in mind. How Yudai Hashimoto-san joining would affect this feast, and whether I could find out much about the feast, and Fujiyoshi from Harumakishima. The former would probably be made obvious by tomorrow. If he died, despite all that I've done this time, I'd be all out of ways to help him survive. I'd have to start considering that there was something inhuman at work that was actively trying to prevent him from joining. He's Shinai. If he did join the feast, though, the Guardian assignments would definitely change, just like they had when Mamiya-san and I joined. That would be neither good nor bad. However, the info I gained the first time, when I couldn't participate at all, and the second time, when I participated as the snake, were completely different. Naturally, there was a change in human relationships and who benefited from them. And now, with this change, I would get to know people I hadn't interacted with much yet. Especially Haru-chan. I could only hope that being the Undie Man didn't result in her avoiding me. That reminded me, Mochi was the reason for my new title. Was he the biggest obstacle in my path toward the truth? Nah, he wouldn't admit it, but the guy liked Haru-chan, and he was jealous that I was getting between them. Oh, so he was the one who killed Haru-chan last time. Was the sad face I saw on him the day after just an act? I had no idea, but I could totally imagine him killing her, only to immediately regret it right after. Oh yeah, Yasunaga-kun also revealed his feelings for Chiemi right before she killed him. Didn't he? Yeah, he did. She'd instantly shot him down, though. Quite literally. It seemed like she felt the same way the first loop, so that was probably true. Or maybe I just wanted to think it that way. Then again, being liked by Chiemi meant that she wanted to kill you, so I wasn't sure if I was so happy about that. That aside, as a wolf and as a human, he was a player skilled at debate and consideration. His words were rarely far from the mark, and he had influence over his mother's and friends' votes. He wasn't self-righteous or some kind of loner, and with a good backer spurring him, he could be an excellent human player. If he was a wolf, though, I'd instantly know it was from his lack of enthusiasm toward the feast. Maybe that would be considered cheating, but whatever. Meanwhile, though Chiemi had done some bold things during the last feast, she wasn't a very active participant in the meetings themselves. That was probably because, just like Mochi, she played cautiously as a wolf and avoided drawing attention to herself. So you know what's really cool about this? When you play Among Us likes with your friends, like Werewolf or Mafia or stuff, you eventually learn how they act as the different roles, and you can actually make plays based on how they've played in previous games. This is literally what Haruaki's doing right now, which is pretty cool. Again, I'm pretty sure they're still in hell, and they're just doomed to loop this. Like, they're just doomed to do it over and over again, and every time it's going to end tragically, and this is the rest of their existence. And every time someone new shows up in Yasumizu, it's because they died in the real world, and, like, they're coming to hell or whatever. It was pretty bold for a wolf to make a self-sacrificing play at the first stage, but it was at that point where people weren't ready to hang anyone, human nor wolf. She'd managed to make herself look like a human without any real risk, and kept the act going all the way to the end. As someone who's played Secret Hitler with the same 10 to 12 people for 2.5 years every day, you are absolutely correct. Yeah, it becomes very interesting when you play with people long enough, and I think it becomes more fun. If she becomes a human, she would surely be a valuable asset to the humans. Personally, I didn't want to be enemies with her again, but I had no idea what she thought of me right now, before the feast had even begun. She herself had told me that she'd always wanted to kill me, which meant that the kindness she displayed to me could have just been an act. That wasn't a pleasant thought. Rikako-san too seemed to be pretty fond of me. That was probably because of her idea that I was a special person who could do something about the feast. I wanted to do something about it, but saw no possible way at this point. I couldn't help but worry that I'd disappoint again. She was pretty passive in the feast, and her votes often prioritized the local folklore and fairness. She did some pretty dangerous things though, like trusting me without any real reason to. However, as a descendant of the Uematsu, she knew full well just how scary the feast was, and how to deal with it. The fact that she knew Meiko's position was pretty important too, and would surely be important this time. I wasn't sure about Meiko herself, though. If she had gotten a guardian, and Rikako-san handled her well, all would be good. But if that wasn't the case, I couldn't expect much from her in the feast, and her votes were based on how she felt at the moment. She would be an uncertain factor, and nothing more. Rikako-san let her vote as she pleased, probably to hide that they were in collusion, which wasn't great. The man who cried wolf was even worse, though. What the hell was that guy? A senile old man? It really didn't seem like it. Kanzo-san said that he'd survived the previous feast. Yeah, Rikako will always know Meiko's role. True. He'd never said anything important during the feast, but had a vote worth the same as everyone else's. He'd also pretended to be the spider last time. Though Rikako-san came out as the spider, and as Meiko's representative, she was essentially the real thing. Claiming to be the spiders despite that was only meaningful if you were the badger. After all, if the badger presented themselves to the wolf once enough humans were out of the game, they would have a latent ally, which would be pretty good for them. And if he was capable of thinking that much, it meant he wasn't quite so senile. In fact, it meant the opposite. But that idea didn't click with the fact that he'd always ended up getting hanged. What was he even after? I had more than enough evidence to conclude he was just insane, but that just made spending time thinking about it more of a pain. Now, while Kanzo-san's actions and goals were obvious, he is hard to control. He'd been handling the feast based on his experience from the other ones. It was a relatively logical approach, but he wasn't flexible at all. He was extremely overbearing when it came to the flow of the conversation, and didn't mind making unnecessary sacrifices, which eventually led to a lack of stability. He also had a weak point in Haru. When it concerned her, he could become dangerous or violent. The other elder, Tai Yamawaki-san, was simply a hyper-traditionalist who resented the younger folks. In certain situations, it was easy to get her to vote right, but in others, she was nothing but a hindrance. She was also Takumi-san, a key person's weak point, and handling that whole matter was different. Tai-san's opposite was Yoshitsugu. He didn't care about tradition and hated the elders, as well as the village heads. He was also the intense type, and could easily mess up the feast. He was also Kaori's weakness. It was also possible for him to make peace with his mother and brother and enter the Yasunaga-kun faction. But if left to his own devices, he could break the rules and get eliminated from the game on the first night. Handling him was difficult. His mother, Kaori-san, was generally a passive player who followed Yasunaga-kun, but she had a tendency to do unexpected things. When Yoshitsugu-kun had died, she tried to poison everyone's food, and she'd also tried to bend the feast rules and leave a dying message. She was the sole source of decent food here, and honestly, I wanted her and her sons to survive until the end. Then there was the man who understood and loved her, Takumi-san. He was important as the facilitator and mediator, keeping Yasumizu unified despite the tribulations of the feast. He had a lot of weaknesses, though, such as his antagonism towards outsiders and the village heads, as well as his tendency to do unnecessary stuff on his own. However, all of it was outweighed by his popularity, charisma, and sheer strength, which were useful every now and then. Overall, he was someone I wanted to depend on. Yeah, we keep Big Man alive. He's a god. He's an S tier. We'll have to make the Raging Loop tier list when we finish this game. Oh my god. And we have footage of my original Raging Loop tier list. That's going to be so funny how they changed over the course of the game. Now, Kiyonosuke no Satoshi was pretty hard to evaluate. He often said things that didn't have to be said, couldn't read the mood, and tended to create conflicts between himself and Yasumizu's people. But despite expectations, he ended up surviving. He actually wasn't wrong most of the time, but his presentation alone often ruined it completely. He was one of the few village heads in the group, so I could at least count on him to prevent any unfair votes towards Rikako-san, but besides that, Oh, we're gonna do it now? I mean, we can do it now. I just remembered that he was a doctor. Couldn't he examine the dead bodies? Why did I have to do it when we had him around? He hadn't insisted on examining a single corpse, so LO, no, not now. Okay, well, I'll keep it in mind. I was gonna do it anyways. If you want your points back, I was gonna do it anyways. I'll probably give you your points back. Was it because he was afraid of dead bodies or something? What the hell? That kind of joke wasn't funny in situations like this. Besides them, there were the journos. Mamiya-san had been pretty much manipulated by Chiemi, so reading her was hard. If she could keep her cool, she could probably make some decent contributions to the feast. Also, I felt that her knowledge of folklore and occult stuff would be necessary for my current main goal, which was finding out the truth. As for Hachimoto-san, he hadn't survived this night even once thus far, so I couldn't say anything about him. Yeah, it really does. However, through the first impressions had made him seem like nothing but some fat guy, rude, he did show an impressive capacity for logic and reason. If both Mamiya-san and Hashimoto-san survived, I imagine they would perform really well in the feasts. Of course, it was hard for them to pass the barrier all the outsiders faced here. Then there was myself. I was the most suspicious here, and the one most likely to get hanged. Last time, I'd been able to survive because I was the snake, and leveraged my role well. It helped me get Takumi-san and Rikako-san over to my side, as bad as that sounded. However, there was no guarantee that it would happen again. It was best to assume that it wouldn't. In that situation, I'd have to focus on helping my side emerge victorious with myself still alive, rather than just helping my side emerge victorious. Even if I could loop, there was no guarantee that I couldn't get into a situation where I would be hanged no matter what. There was a heavy thought to have, but I'd have to believe that I could make it and keep pushing onwards. I had to keep going. Okay, I'm locking it in. Suddenly, I felt the drowsiness come over me. Had I been so busy during the day that I ended up more tired than I thought With how much planning we were doing for playing as a human. Oh, yeah. I think so, too, Red. I kind of feel it. Like, how do you make another loop through engaging, right? Besides doing that. It was time to cleanse myself. I took off my clothes, wiped my body, switched to my spare underwear, and that was that. Then I locked the shabby-looking lock and returned to my bed, if you could even call it that. What would I do if my door was suddenly knocked down by some scary werewolf monster? I tried to keep myself on my toes, but my brain knew that that wasn't how this feast worked. So I just relaxed and let me sleep. I'd be safe today. I would not die today. I'd think about what comes next later. I felt a strange pain all over my body. Next, I felt that something was way too red. I could see the light of the outside through my eyes. I thought that meant it was dawn, but that wasn't the case. The morning sun had a bitter orange color, but this red right here was darker and colder. It also felt like my eyes weren't even closed. Why was I unconscious with my eyes open? Not only did my body hurt, but it was cold as well. Too cold. I was sleeping on the ground. My hair was on some gravel, while my hands felt grass in the mist. It was cold. My senses awakened. No, it was more like something that had been cut off and suddenly returned. It wasn't quite the same as a typical morning, and the bizarre sensation took me the moment to adjust to. I was outside. The moment I realized that, all the blood left my face. I tried to jump up, but then I realized my body was sluggish, and that my body temperature was extremely low. Had I been out in this cold mist for that long? My mind was in better condition than my body, at least. Why was I outside, anyways? Had I broken some taboo that I didn't know about? Did the prefab count as outside? Would I be taken outside and killed because of this? Maybe there wasn't even a need for a reason like that. It could have been that I'd be used as the example. If Yudai Hashimoto-san did the feast prep this time, no one would die tonight, but perhaps that was a bad thing for Shinai. The existence of the penalty, the corruption, was best made through example. A simple mess of a corpse was enough to prevent people from trying to escape or walking out at night. However, if no one broke that rule, no example could be made. But it was actually entirely possible to make an example without anyone breaking any laws. If there was a corpse tomorrow, everyone would just assume that the victim had broken a law. No one would question the Punisher's decision. Well, we hadn't had any unexplainable victims of the corruption thus far. That was my assumption anyway. Rikako-san going nuts made absolutely no sense, but it wasn't even clear if that was the corruption, so I would just leave that at that. Besides that, all instances of the corruption so far seem to have completely plausible causes behind them. So I'd assume that the Punisher was fair. But could I trust their benevolence now, in that situation? I was an outsider who was barely known here, and that kind of made me the best person to make an example of. Had I been too optimistic to assume I wouldn't die today? My throat was dry, which made me feel even colder. My irritation and panic broke my tolerable limits. I finally regained my senses and control over my body. There was red light all around me. Its source was distant, but it lit up the entire mist, giving it a bewitching, unsettling shine. It made me both uneasy and scared. It reminded me of the first mist I'd ever seen, even though it was late at night right now. However, unlike the first time, I didn't feel any beasts nearby. I strained my eyes to look into the mist, and realized that I had someone at my side. Or rather, I realized there was a humanoid silhouette within the red light. It was a girl. Haru Makishima. Haru-chan. As I tried to stand up, I staggered pathetically and collapsed again. I could barely even speak. She noticed me, slowly turned her face towards me, and looked down at me with eyes showing no hint of emotion, thought, or life. She was even smiling a bit. Fusaishi-san. I heard my name. It surprised me, but I somehow turned to the other side and saw Kaori Oribe-san. Her eyes and expression were almost exactly like Haru's. God is coming. Was I still half asleep? Was this some sort of dream? Why were they here, anyways? But if I could actually see the god that Chiemi, Rikaku, and Haru have talked about, I would accept that in a heartbeat. I turned to that direction that those two were facing. In red, misty darkness, I saw the outline of a large tree. It was the hanging pine. That meant that this was the graveyard. And there were 3 lights, or rather, 3 sets of lights within the mist. It took me a moment, but I realized that those were eyes. The vague silhouette seemed human and yet not human at the same time. Was this God? Why had they appeared before us? Questions filled my head, my thoughts became dull, my sense of logic froze, and my vision contracted. Suddenly, God spoke. Look here. What? For I... Wait. This sounds like... That sounds like Kanzo. For I will tell ye the true legend. It was like a rumble, but it was definitely a voice. We will now tell you the true legend. I tried to follow what he said. The wolves was not fully dead. The wolves are not dead yet. Truly, it is mankind that has been dead. I don't know if I should... I don't know what kind of voice I should try to do for this. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just going to try to read it verbatim. It's the humans that are dead. Mankind, snake, ape, crow, spider. Human, snakes. Yeah, yeah. All creation is the making of Yomi. All of them had riven... You know, if anyone's seen or read American Gods, which I think is Neil Gaiman, this reminds me of the storyteller from American Gods. Anansi, I think his name was. The laws of Mountain says all creation is to be killed. Ye hath been chosen willfully to be the wolves. You were chosen to be the wolves. Let's go. Make great destruction upon the Yomibito and make pure the mountains and the river. Destroy the Yomibito and purify. So we got Kaori, and we got Haru. Hold on, this team's kind of busted. A noble gift we giveth you. We will give something. You should wear this and cleanse. Wear this. Wait. Hey, Red Creeper. Wait. Have the wolves been wearing that necklace the entire time? Do this, and wicked mist shall yield no harm. Do that. Yeah. By the cause of the dark mist. But since the mist is so dense, we shall given ye the rock. I don't know what the hell that says. We will send you the badger. Oh, okay. Tomorrow at night, this time, alone Yomibito, we shall inspire to be your sworn brethren. You just finished streaming? Oh, I hope you had a good stream. Tomorrow night, we shall... Yeah. This worthy Brock, your knight be, and it is out our help unto ye. This badger would be a guardian. So the wolves always got such a detailed explanation. They were low in number. Humans received other guardians. They were under pressure to lie at all times, and were surely conflicted about many things. The wolves were actually at quite a disadvantage here. However, they had more information. They knew their allies and enemies, and about the existence of the traitor unknown to the humans. Hear ye this. Ye shall draw blood of man every night. Yup. Anyway, seriously, did you have any idea how hard that was? Or ye yourself would die. Otherwise, we would die. So we have to kill every night or we die. It may not otherwise be tied. Do not doubt this. It may not be otherwise be tied. He just repeated it. He wanted us to believe him. Wait, there's someone behind these wolves. There's a figure behind these wolves. I thought the wolves were God. There's someone behind these wolves. So the 3 of us were the wolves. Me, Haru, and Kaori. Who are we killing first? We killing Kanzo first. I had no idea if this was true. Hell, I didn't even know if it was real or not. Oh, maybe it was the tree. Then the red light became weaker. My consciousness began to fade. I had no idea. And soon enough, it was all dark. I can't wait to play werewolf at the next major. It's going to be so fun. Climax? Climax? Werewolf at Climax? That sounds super fun. Get like a 20-person game going. We gotta kill Big Man first? No! No, I don't want to kill Takumi first. VO? I don't have the VO button. No. Oh no. Ah. I'm trying. I'm trying. My body hurt. Tell you what, the first fighting game I play, I will freaking round start burst or round start VO. The familiar sensation made me open my eyes slightly. I saw the bright but shabby inside of the prefab. We have to kill Takumi first. You know it's the right option. VO means kill Big Man. Ah. Dash up delay VO. That's a sick one, actually. I've gotten got by that. Though the dirty curtainless window, through the dirty curtainless window, I saw the mist outside. This was reality, wasn't it? I lifted my upper body, turned a bit, moved my head, pinched my cheek. It all felt real. Then I tried to stand, and I could. Looking at my phone. Oh yeah, you know what? You are so right. If you want to win, you kill Takumi, and then you just pit the old people against the young people. That's how you do it, right? Like, remembering something, I lifted the bottom of my shirt and looked at my stomach. What I saw made me freeze. There it is. The Lord of the Hunt, the Wolf. Slay all the Yomibito. Cleanse and purify, or die. Cleanse, purify, dream. What's perfect about this team? The only thing I think that's not perfect about this team is you have one older, one younger, and one outsider. That's a busted comp. One thing I don't like about this team, though, is that all our two partners are really closely linked to Yasu. If Yasu wakes up as the Badger, it's over. It's Owari done. If Yasu wakes up as the Badger, forget it. Then it's a wrap. But he is actually the threat right now, and I would try to kill him, but I know Kawari is gonna have a problem with that. So, at first we thought the people of Kamifuchi Yoshi just made it up to make fun of us. But we found out it was true when we were blessed by Shinai-sama himself. On the day Oji-chan died, he showed up in my dreams and told me about it. Great Lord Shinai told the real story through dreams, making the people of Yasumizu change drastically. If Yasu is the Badger, this is an S-tier, unbeatable team. I think Kaori's overpowered, too. I think having Kaori is actually, like, a boon. I think she's actually sleeper pick. Yeah. Oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. No, well, the younger one will. The older one will notice if his mom's acting weird. That's why I would want to off him first. It wasn't clear which side was right. I didn't even know if there was a right side to this in the first place, but I didn't feel much. I didn't get any sort of hatred for humans or motivation to kill. The first time Yasunaga-kun, Tai-san, and Haru-chan all had some sort of cold, calm anger towards the humans. And then Chiemi said it was their intent on killing me from the start. As for Mochi, my first impression of him was weird but harmless, and that somehow became insane killer. I don't think, yeah, we might not get a choice, or we might get a choice among people who can't be the Badger, right? We had our reasons for doing what we did, and we had to keep doing it until the end, so stop with the questions. They're a pain. However, she'd also said that she was struggling, and it didn't sound like it had anything to do with what she wanted. Regardless of what you were like before, you become a wolf by getting the wolf as your guardian. What was Mamiya-san like in that regard? Had she worked as a wolf? She had worked as a wolf, but it was either just to survive or because she was urged by Chiemi. There was no zeal or loyalty there, and she ended up being silenced. That meant that the real story only worked on the people of Yasumizu. That was the only way things made sense. But if that dreamlike experience was true, then this time the wolves were Haru-chan, Kaori-san, and me. I had seen them in the mist and the red light, and they certainly didn't look right. I wasn't sure if it was actually a matter of sanity, but they just accepted the event as natural. A change born from the real story, an event set up from the start. No. I also had to consider the possibility that this was all just a dream, and that me being chosen by a wolf had nothing to do with it. I mean, come on, buddy. I still couldn't be sure if they were like the other wolves. I absolutely couldn't just go to the dining hall and ask if they were. I had to wait until tonight. Suddenly... Oh. Fusaishi, are you okay? Haruaki-san? Haruaki-san, are you alive? Hey, Haruaki-san. Someone knocked on my door. I quickly wiped off the bloody guardian mark. It was dry, so it came off easy. I washed my hands in the bucket and unlocked the door. You're okay. Haruaki-san, I'm so glad. Oh god, no, not like this. I saw Takumi-san armed with a farming tool and Chiemi, who was so happy about my survival that she even had tears in her eyes. The fact that she was the same person as that vicious mass murderer made it difficult to be happy about this development. If this was an act, this reminded me that she herself had told me I had a bad eye for women. Without any of that, she'd really seem like nothing but a gentle, cute, young woman. Ayo, what? If we get the option... We carefully walked through the mist. The mist had actually come. I heard it's a bad sign, is it? How many Ryer Pointer to kill Chiemi night 1? Oh god. I don't want to kill Chiemi, dude. How much have you heard exactly? That someone always dies when the mist comes. Who the hell told that to a damn newcomer? That aside, did someone die? No. No one's dead yet. Good. Has everyone gathered already? Yeah, in the dining hall. Sorry, we came to pick you up pretty late. Everyone's panicking because of the mist. Sorry for making you wait. Of course they'd come for me last. I was at the bottom of the totem pole here. And despite that, I was a wolf. Crap. How was I supposed to survive Kanzo-san's "can't you just die" today? Hold on. What was I thinking? Was I actually going to fulfill my role as the wolf here? Ugh. 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 I would actually create those awful piles of corpses. I didn't want to do that. I wasn't beholden to some weird legend. There was no need for me to play along with this insanity. Honestly, I could just reveal who the wolves were on the first day. That'd keep the sacrifices minimal and... No, that would result in my own death. I had to think carefully. I had to survive. I had to survive and escape this loop. It wasn't a matter of just leaving Yasumizu or Fujiyoshi. I had actually ended the feast once and escaped, yet the death loop still continued. Hell, the Feast of the Yomi Purge and the general mystery surrounding Fujiyoshi still wasn't over. Honestly, I had no confidence if I'd been of the right mind when I decided to actually move here. It felt like all the characters and stage props here were gathered to bring about nothing but tragedy. Till I'd solved all the mysteries here, the supernatural forces here would continue to terrorize me, no matter how far I ran. There was the possibility that surviving as a wolf would solve everything. Though that wasn't pleasant. Perhaps I'd come back to life, return from Yomi and over because of the local Yomi inhabitants. So in order to solve this, I had to become a wolf and kill them all. He's already buying into he's already drinking the Kool-Aid. This could be the right path. Yeah. Haruaki-san? Hmm? What's wrong? Is something bothering you? I'm kind of worried. I'm actually quite the scaredy cat. Me too. Can't blame you. Would I have to kill them too? Can you handle blood? Huh? Why are you asking? No person died, but, well... Their expressions turned dark. I saw the plaza. There are 3 wolves. Just like last time, Tai Yamawaki was at the Okiba with 3 Yomotsu Okami symbols painted on it. What do you mean? I'll tell you later. The exchange was exactly as I remembered it. I still knew all about all this, so I had to be careful to stay in character. I couldn't forget that just about everyone here had their first feast today. They didn't have the knowledge or experience, and nobody killed anyone yet. I'm probably going to rethink of naming my streams to something better. Ooh, like a rebranding? That's a cool idea. If I went and said something weird, they'd suspect me, so I had to act like the confused newbie. I know you play a lot of KOF, so maybe something KOF related. As I approached the plaza, I noticed a strange stench. Though it resembled the smell of death I was now intimately familiar with, this one felt more beastly. What is that stench? You shouldn't look. I disregarded a warning and headed toward the source of the smell. There was a pile of corpses. Hello? There was a pile of corpses in the middle of the plaza, though they weren't human. From what I could tell, they were the remains of mid-sized four-legged beasts. They looked like dogs, but their bodies were in such terrible shape I wouldn't have been able to tell if they were foxes, tanukis, or wolves instead. Is this the Shishinari? Some had their limbs or head removed, and a lot were just cut up really poorly. Bloody fur, eyes open so wide you'd think they'd fall out. If I had to guess, there were at least 20 here in this pile. I was about as tall as a block of it was about as tall as the back of a smaller adult. It reeked badly, but more than that, it was just disturbing. Crimson fur, countless fangs, claws, eyes. This seemed like an original idea for a fantasy monster. Indeed, monster was very apt. It was almost a monument dedicated to the Yomotsu Okami. Perhaps this was the example this time. Oh, because no one could die, the big wolf brutalized a bunch of animals or something? We're throwing that in the Saranaga later. I wasn't planning on touching it. It was basically a heap of potential diseases. Wouldn't dumping it in the river be illegal, though? Screw it. I wasn't going to worry about stuff like that. Haraki-san, you seem strangely calm. Well, you see dog corpses in town every now and then. Not sure how I would feel if that was a person. Probably wouldn't affect me much at this point, to be quite honest. I'd seen too many horrible human corpses. Hey, you're alive. Outside the dining hall, there was Kanzo Makishima, gun in hand. Along with him was Fusaishi-kun. Good morning. At the entrance, there were Mamiya-san, who looked uneasy, and Hashimoto-san, who looked strangely composed. After greeting them, I went inside. Haraki Fusaishi-san is okay too. That's everyone then. Ah, what a relief. I looked around and yeah, everyone was here. A total of 16. What a party. At one seat, there was Haru-chan. Her face was pale, and her two friends were seated next to her. It's safe in here. Wanna eat? I just can't. She'd hated the mist before, but this time, it was even worse. She also made herself as small as possible, and it felt like she was averse to their care. It seemed like a mix of her fear of the mist, the rejection of the villagers she'd had as a badger. I'd say she's just the biggest scaredy cat there is. Scaredy cat? She was always really afraid of all the corruption talk. Maybe she was just scared of getting corrupted herself. That's why I don't think Haru-chan could kill anyone, even if she was a wolf. A girl who was afraid of the corruption. It started 8 years ago when she tried to visit Yasumizu when it was covered in mist and saw something. That had to be it. The idea, or certainty, that the people around her were Yomibito had to scare her pretty badly. Maybe she really was a wolf. Kaori-san, on the other hand, looked okay. That thought came too soon. A moment later, I heard a crash from behind the counter. Hey, Yuriark, what's up? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll clean it up. Oh, let me handle it. I'm supposed to be working here. Sorry for not helping. Without waiting for a response, I hurried behind the counter. There was a broken porcelain on the floor, along with some rice and soup. The same food as last loop, basically. I already knew what was in the kitchen, so I wetted a cloth, wrung it out, and started wiping it up. Nothing much. A friend of mine was practicing Chaos. Awesome, awesome. Chaos is a super fun character. Then I spread out a newspaper and collected the porcelain. Suddenly, I felt something touch my upper arm. I turned around and saw Kaori-san crouching and staring at the floor with a pale expression. She was shaking. I could tell from her touch. There were tears in her eyes, and her half-open mouth made her look like she was about to sob. Her whole body was basically saying that she couldn't bear this. Yeah, right. Chaos is honest. True. Kaori-san isn't feeling too good. Yasunaga-kun, Yoshitsugu-kun, can you come over? Mom, are you okay? Don't force yourself, hag. As they helped her get up the stairs, Kaori-san looked at me with eyes that seemed both pleading and scornful. It felt like she was asking if she really had to kill her wonderful children with her own hands. This mission was too much for her to bear, and from what she could tell, she wanted to share the burden with me to make it easier for herself. It was safe to assume that the dreamlike experience had, indeed, showed me the other wolves. Calm down, though. Calm down. Though it seemed pretty conclusive to me, this was just day one. We had the mist, the wolf symbols, and the pile of dog corpses, so it wasn't weird for a sensitive woman to become a bit sick. Yeah, we are the wolf. Even Chemi and Hisako-san didn't look so good. The only ones who were clearly okay were Rikako-san, who looked like a no mask most of the time, and Meiko, who probably had her eyes hidden. So as long as they don't act any more suspicious, it was all good. Kaori and Haru. I'll serve the food. Chikamachi-kun, can you give me a bowl from the shelf? Whoa, you already know where everything is. You can call me Mochi, though. I might have been the one in trouble here. I told him to call me Hassan and decided that I could act more ignorant of things. Hey, Ryer, could I make a song request? Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is how I guess this is how they're getting us to do the Haru route. After we ate, I pretended to be busy in the kitchen. Hungry like the wolf Duran Duran. Oh, but that would get me copyright struck. Chimi and Rikako-san looked like they wanted to talk, but I avoided them because I felt like I might accidentally spill the beans on them. Of course, we had to wait until Takumi-san and the Oribe brothers cleaned up the plaza, and I had tons of things to wash. Last time, the feast began at about 9, but now that Kaori-san had gone to bed for a second time, it'd have to happen later. It didn't show any signs of starting, even at noon, so we had lunch. We gotta use the shishi. I'll cut it up. You can't boil rice in a kettle? Screw it. I'll do it. I got some unexpected help, so I ended up having to only cut the veggies and add spice. We ended up with lots of decent rice and pork soup. I hadn't expected Yoshitsugu-kun to know how to boil rice. He'd probably help Kaori-san out a lot. Haru-chan, do you feel like eating? Yeah, and don't call me by name. Oh, apologies, milady. Stop it, Pansuman. I hadn't accepted that name, but trying to resist it would have probably made her antagonistic towards me, so I just laughed it off. I'm sorry for making you worry. What a nice smell. Who made it? Haraki-san. Yoshitsugu-kun and I helped out. Oh my. Thank you, Yoshi. I just boiled the rice. Do you think you can eat? Yes, I'll have some. Everyone noticed that her face was pale as before, but no one pointed it out. Kanzo-san was beginning to become irate, and it was clear that we had to begin the feast soon. We're doing it after eating? Everyone, even Kaori-san, understood what was going to happen. No, 2 people didn't. Well, I understand that the road is blocked, but can't we get out by crossing the stream below? It's dangerous. I understand how you feel, but it might be best to just wait for help. Serizawa-san said that no one would come. What's going on here? No need to rush it. Ma'am, you will explain it to us, yes? Yes, I'll tell you about the feast later. Do it now. I don't want to participate in something that I know nothing about. Haruaki's reaction was, like, no reaction. He, like, no-sold it. Kid-chan, no need for that. You might have to die night 1 again? Yeah, maybe. Hearing them talk made me nervous, but at least they kept everyone on their toes. Was that a bad thing for the wolves? The only thing that humans could do against the wolves was lynch, so we had to keep their motivation to do that a minimum. At the very least, that was relatively easy today, when no one had died so far. Kanzo Makashimashi would definitely insist we hang someone, and I had to somehow shoot him down. Of course, I had to avoid standing out in a way that would affect my chances further down the line. It's time. Let's go to the hall. We all lined up, and the eldest went in first. They joined their hands and hid their faces. It was quite a unique sight, and once again, I copied them. Like last time, I ended up at the lower end of the group, but the complete outsiders were below even me. Is that really okay with you? I'd be in the way if I wasn't the one at the end of the group, right? I couldn't give any strong agreement, so I just gave him a light in response. And the gang's all here. Smash Ultimate. Tai-san declared the start of the feast, and Rikako-san handed out some divine sake. Yeah, he really did flip the switch quickly, huh? Aren't you driving? I won't be for a while. Hashimoto-san drank 3 full cups. Oh, Una Kuen, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. We are now 3 followers away from the big 300 and my debut stream. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your time here. I play VNs and fighting games. He'd also had 3 more helpings of lunch. It was appropriate for someone his size, so I hadn't even commented on it. With him being the first to drink, the rest of us would be a bit taken aback. Then Tai-san explained the legend and the feast. Please don't make me listen to this again. That sounds like a crime to me. Just like last time, after asking all this and that, Mamiya-san eventually took the strong stance on the whole thing. But if we don't do it, we will die ourselves. But let's listen until the end. Then we'll have time for questions, and we can share our thoughts. Okay. Mamiya-san still had a stern expression, but her cool temperament made her seem like a completely different person from last time. After that, Yasunaga-kun pointed out things Tai-san missed, like the amount of people the wolves could kill, the extra info on the spider, and whether any of us were in a feast before. Then, incoming. How do you know if you have a guardian? This is gonna be like some frame one Takumi, I'm the snake again or something. Hashimoto-san, who wasn't here last time, quickly pointed out more info that was missing. Kanzo-san then explained that they appeared on the stomach. I see. So that's why cleaning your body is one of the rules. A god doesn't want to touch sweaty skin. What? You talk more than I expected. Oh, my apologies. I'm only quiet when I work. It makes it easier, so I restrain myself. He's just a chatty drunk is what he is. He had 3 cups of sake, and now he's just chatting it up. He smiled, astonishing everyone yet again. Shoutouts to sake, by the way. The sake at the Combo Breaker KBBQ spot, that was choice. Gotta get more of that. At this point, all the rules except for the badger had been revealed. Well, we kind of went off track, but what do we do now? We've got some dead dogs, but it's not like a person died, right? What if it's just someone in Kamifujiyoshi trying to intimidate us? Bachan said that happens often. That was news to me. Well, my Oba-san said the people from there used to release shishi blood into the field water. Gross. I do not believe that they still do that. From what I can tell, most of the people there just downright ignore Yasumizu. There's barely anything connecting the 2 places anyways. Some from the hunting industry have ties to Kanzo Makishimashi, but they seem to respect you. I'm not sure I trust that. Well, Kanzo Chi-chan is the only one who can hunt at the base of Shinai-san. That was some interesting info too. Anyway, good point. The only ones still trying to do something bad to Yasumizu are school children and the village heads. Again, with the unfair mudslinging. The village heads are far too busy for that. Unfair? Their whole mountain festival seems like one big Yasumizu bullying event. I think we could even take them to court and win over it. By the way, Chikamochi. Yeah? You're not the one doing all this, are you? Oh, That's possible. Yeah, he's like, I mean, we know who the wolves are, but like, if we weren't, he's kind of clearly himself again and not a wolf. But too bad. I'm flattered that you thought of me, but I didn't do it. Have you seen that pile of dead dogs? How could I do that? Good point. Good point. You just back up. Why'd you even think he did it if his only thing was, I couldn't have done it? And you're like, yeah, good point. And Town's forehead again. When I was still at Nosato, I had them buy me a lot of guinea pigs for my birthday, and I played around by... Mochi! And I played around by drowning them in a pond. What the fuck? Yeah, like... Yeah, first, L, plus nobody asked, plus ratio, plus you're a psycho. Sorry, that's just how he is. Homicidal. Yeah, it's Monka's Mochi steer. Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. If you're gonna kill something, make it mice or cockroaches. Oh yeah, I'll kill tons of mice. I could tell that the weirdos here were making Mamiya-san uncomfortable, but Hashimoto-san was unfazed, as always. Yeah, sorry, he's just like that sometimes. Don't put your dog by him, haha. I had a feeling that this new info I was hearing came from the fact that no one had died, so tension levels were low. Yeah, oh, he quirky though. Anyway, what do we do about the feast? We kill you, Takumi. Can I suggest something? It's gonna be, well, the monkeys reveal themselves. I recall hearing that Takumi-san was the one who made the first move the very first time. He revealed that he was the snake. Last time, one of the monkeys suggested that I die. The flow of the events had changed, so maybe he didn't have a guardian this time. Perhaps it wasn't a good idea to decide who did and didn't have guardians based on that alone. Just adding Hashimoto-san has changed the course of the discussion completely. And this time, Chiemi was the girl that criticized Fujiyoshi with her city dweller mentality, basically bringing her back around to show to how she was in the first loop. Last time, besides the strong words on day one, she stayed very passive, only hesitantly making moral objections. By becoming a wolf, she'd greatly changed her approach to the feast. Now there was Kinosuke. I'd expected him to suggest we use a popular vote, but... I believe he should become our courageous representative. He said that, while pointing at me. Are you telling me to die? I don't want to use such strong language, but I heard that's what you came here for. It's hard to choose the first one, but when the first hanging does happen, the crow can then reveal themselves. I didn't expect that idea to come from him. This was basically the same approach as Kanzo-san's. Hadn't he voted for me the first day as well? Crap. I'm sorry, but do you have any idea what you're saying? Yeah, how can you tell someone to die for no reason? They said on TV that the first one to talk is the shadiest. If he was by himself, his suggestion would have no effect. However, I'm with the little Nosato. Oh, let's go! Get his ass out of here. His agreement was very bad news for me. Wait, oh, the other Nosato. Shit. They're both scrawny. What are you talking about? A human can die for Yasumizu's sake. I can do that too, but I need to watch the feast a bit longer. Why the hell would we need that? I've survived 2 feasts. He's survived 2 feasts. He's telling that now. I know what we gotta do. We gotta hang. And if humans are afraid of hanging, humans will lose. Uematsu, get him drunk. Things were moving on just like last time. I played it off with some vague words back then, but what could I do now? Let's calm down. It's extremely dangerous to decide who dies based on only one side of the table. I understand some of what Kanzo-san is saying, but we can just as easily say that Kanzo's a wolf. Wolves can use logic too. Just because something makes sense doesn't mean we should accept it without question. He's gonna call for the monkeys now. Yasunaga, Then how about you tell us what we have to do to win and we hang you? Yeah, right? Yasunaka is right. Why must we hang anyone? According to Taiba, we're not allowed to kill anyone outside the feast. Breaking this law means death. There are 16 of us here. 13 are humans, 3 are wolves. If we do the feast and randomly kill one every day, we can get rid of the wolves eventually. But if we don't, our chances are 0. If we skip on the killings during the feasts, the wolves would just continue to kill one each night, and we would quickly die. However, not even I'm sure if there are wolves here. I really don't know if they would kill people. If this is just a simple mist and the rest is some kind of sick joke. The wolf really is coming. Everyone was surprised that he suddenly began to speak. I was pretty used to it by now, though. Listen, wolves aren't as simple as they seem. Yomi's the mountain. They spread the corrupt because the mountain said so. Yomi is the mountain. What nonsense is that? Shinai-sama is on the human side. The mountain doesn't take sides. Mountain's whimsical and cruel. If it's hungry, it'll eat the people it raised. We gotta feast. I don't know why he's like goofy. He knows the real story. Yeah, he's survived a couple feasts as well. Not much he said came as a surprise to me, but I sure didn't expect to hear it from him. I wasn't the only one. The weird way he presented it made most people here uneasy and maybe even scared. So my guess would be Kanzo probably survived 2 feasts as a human, and the old man probably survived a feast as a wolf at some point. Old Fart's been in the feast before too. He might be senile, but he remembers it. The wolves gotta hang. Excuse me. Everyone looked at me with sharp eyes. Now how are the people you hang chosen in previous feasts? We should say that the monkeys should reveal themselves. If nobody else says that, we should say that the monkeys should reveal themselves. We voted. I guessed as much. Apparently the popular vote was tradition at this point. And you think we should do that this time too? What about everyone else? My question caused some whispers among the people. Can we really decide like that? I know what you mean. We'd be condemning people to death by popular vote. It's just too cruel. But there's no better way to choose. We can talk it out. If that doesn't work, we shouldn't hang anyone at all. You think we could reach a consensus like that? There's no way the potential victim would agree. Alright, anyone who volunteers to die for us, raise your hand. Chimi had used this to gain everyone's trust. Rikako-san used this to convey to me that Meiko had a guardian. Basically, it was just pure strategy. If they didn't need to take the risk this time, they simply wouldn't do it. That meant that it was likely that Meiko didn't have a guardian this time. What was I to do here? I thought for a moment that it concluded if I raised my hand here, everyone would gladly hang me. No matter how kind-natured and reasonable I tried to appear, they actually didn't care much about me. Chimi and Rikako-san would value me more than most, but there was no arguing that they favored their own. I could totally imagine them prioritizing everyone else and tearfully voting for me. Otherwise, if my fate had already been decided at that point, they would vote for someone else and send them as a message to keep them on their toes. It was definitely a dangerous situation for me. There was only one way that might be able to save me, though. I could do what I had done last time. By sounding like I could be an asset to them, I'd buy some time for myself. And finally, reveal that I had a guardian. I'd have to make sure the real one with said guardian was gone at that point, though. That meant that using the time I had to find and kill them. Could I really do that, though? Nobody? You talk big. What about you, though? I can't die yet. Oh, wait. Here's a warning. Those with guardians should be especially careful. What do you mean? Whoa, she sounds possessed already. He went on to give the starting warning that those with guardians should keep their status hidden. However, it was better to go against that warning when the snake or crow found a wolf, or when a fake appeared, and the monkeys were the exception to that. You think he's a snake again? Oh, Takumi? Maybe. Yeah, Takumi's something. I think Takumi might be the spider. You think Mamiya has a guardian too? Maybe. Yeah, I think Takumi might be the spider. The explanation for the monkeys was the same last time. The thing about the snake or the crow finding a wolf, as well as the appearance of a fake, weren't mentioned back then. Those with guardians are likely to be targeted, so it's best for them to be quiet. But there are situations in which it is advantageous to speak up or disadvantageous to keep quiet. The prime examples of these situations are the appearances of fakes or when someone discovered a wolf. You sure we'll have fakes? No doubt about it. Hashimoto might have a guardian. I don't think he does. Yasunaga-kun went and briefly explained that the wolves had to actively lie to win. He also added that humans should avoid lying as much as possible. The only ones who lie in the feast are the wolves. Making that a rule should spare us some trouble. Made a point to say more calmly. I think she would be more calm. Oh yeah, well maybe if she woke up with a mark, she'd be more calm. I was thinking she woke up without a wolf mark, so that would make her more calm. That's why I think. Kanzo-san, what about you? Everyone got it? This was the time. Kanzo-san and Yasunaga-kun spent a lot of time at the beginning last time fighting over the lead despite both being monkeys. With Haru-chan and Tai-chan's death, the one in charge ended up being Takumi. If a calm and collected Takumi ended up assisting Yasunaga-kun like last time, the wolves would be at a huge disadvantage. Now if Kanzo-san ended up in charge and controlled the feast with an iron fist, the order would collapse. Perhaps to our advantage. However, that'd increase my chances of getting killed. I had to find a balance. I nonchalantly, yet unhesitantly, raised an arm. A few others followed my lead. Chemi, Rikako, Kaori, Yoshitsugu, Kionosuke, Takumi, Mamiya, Hashimoto, Mochi. I'm fine with that. He backed down. Yasunaga-kun and everyone who raised their hands amounted to 12, a clear majority. His polite, calm explanation bore fruit. But was Kanzo-san the type to back down in a situation like this? But we're hanging wolves by vote. And so, he had conditions for his agreement. Fine by me. Talking ain't getting us anywhere. Hell, all that talking would just go to the same result as the vote, won't it? Well, you have a point. Takumi, what do you think? All right. This has got to be a joke. The bartering with Yasunaga made Takumi-san agree to something he'd been completely disapproving of. Chemi had realized that she had to accept it, and she had also given up on arguing and only complained. A true voter. Kanzo-san had a tendency to strong-arm people to get what he wanted, but he was good at it. So, we got derailed a bit. Are we hanging Fusaishi or what? Things were looking bad for me. Suddenly, I got help from where I least expected it. If you ask me, I don't believe we should hang anyone today. Okay. Today? Well, I don't think we should do it at all. If it's a matter of be kill or be killed, I will kill. His tone was calm, but his words were terrifying. I have a wife and 3 daughters waiting for me at home. Mamiya-san's eyes widened. She must have realized just how serious he was. You did mention that you didn't intend to die for your work. Yes, that's why I carefully listened to what everyone here said. I think that lynching someone first would give the wolves a reason to start killing. That was a general observation that no one argued against, probably because they didn't have a good comeback. I more or less understand the rules now. Can I say something that's on my mind? Thank you. If I'm getting something wrong, you there, you seem to know how things work, so please point it out. Oh, okay. Now, in this process, at least 5 people will die, a minimum of 3 wolves, and 2 humans killed at night. Yes, at least, as long as the spider doesn't protect the humans. That means that someone will die tonight, regardless of whether or not we lynch someone today. That's right. But if we don't hang someone today, the feast will continue without any dead wolves. That's odd. Today's lynching is to let the crow show themselves, right? It's unlikely that it would be a wolf. Would it really be effective overall? I won't say it would be worthless, but imagine hearing this tomorrow. I am the crow. The one lynched tomorrow, or one lynched yesterday, Fusaishi-san, was a human. You're planning on getting KOF 2002? It's on Fightcade. I don't know if you're familiar with Fightcade, but if you download Fightcade, You can play KOF 2002. Yeah, this guy's kind of a Chad, huh? Now, even if it turns out he was a wolf, we would believe the crow just because no other crow spoke up against them. What would happen then? We would have 14 humans and 2 wolves. The chance of getting a wolf would drop from about 19% to about 14%. From what I see, the end game would be after some people have died, regardless of if it happened sooner or later. So I'm not sure we should lynch anyone today without any evidence. Well, you might have a point. That's sophistry. We humans can't win if we don't hang anyone. This guy is looking like a wolf. He's about to get his ass burned. Yes, but I believe it's worth waiting for just one day. Anyone who pushes for hanging here reads heavily like Layer 1 wolf. If we lynch someone today, the wolves would realize that they really would get killed, effectively justifying the killings. Now, if they strike first, the humans could unite to avenge the victim. I'll say it again, someone will definitely die tonight, regardless of if we lynch someone or not. That is, assuming the wolves are serious about this. However, the lynching today, or lack thereof, would change whether tonight's victim would be considered the wolves' revenge or their vile preemptive attack. Basically, I believe that we can't be strong enough to lynch people until the wolves kill someone. Personally, I hope that such restraint would make the wolves hesitate and not kill anyone. Is that possible? No. The wolf is coming. I see. Even so, attacking someone when there's no victim is extremely stressful. I simply believe that sacrificing someone who is most likely human and sowing discord between us is much worse than simply letting someone die tonight and uniting us. Wow, he had a point. As a general rule, I don't have a PC, so I'm getting KOF on the... Oh, okay, I see. You don't have a PC. As a general rule, it was disadvantageous for the humans to waste an opportunity to lynch. However, making a preemptive attack when you had limited information and the chance of getting a wolf was low and was extremely risky. Thus, it was a good option to prioritize emotional superiority and unity. Not many people could argue against this. Hashimoto-san was just too good of a speaker, the opposite of Kiyonosuke. His suggestion was beneficial for the wolves too, but only for tonight. It would be far more difficult to kill someone now. Upon hearing him out, I believe that Hashimoto-san has a point. We do not fully know each other yet. Killing someone in this situation would be a waste. I thought the same thing. The feast thing is controlled by primarily with information, right? What do you mean, Q-chan? Q-chan. You decide who's a wolf by taking the time to see who sides with who and who says something strange. Since you made a rule that humans can't lie, the wolves, who must lie, will eventually slip up. Okay, I'm gonna go work out, but I'm gonna put it up on my iPad. All right, cool. Good luck, Red. It seems right to lynch them once you find them that way. There might even be cases where a single clue can lead you to know who all the wolves are. Naruhodo. Detective deduction. I don't know if it would go that well, but by observing what the wolves do and gathering information about them, you can pinpoint someone. And eventually even avoid having to lynch someone, letting us catch up to them. And it's not like we won't learn anything today. The snake will surely find out whether someone is a human or a wolf. That's true. Maybe it's best to skip this day and avoid accidentally killing the snake. He presented the likely disadvantages that could emerge and provided ways to turn them around. It was really effective. Most here didn't want to kill anyone yet, but had to balance out the pros and cons of doing so. If they were told that negatives could be made up for, they had no reason not to cling to that. Crap. I fell silent. Do you think the snake snap checks you? Probably. And then we probably have to pull some bullshit like point. Silent people were considered to be passive accomplices to the wolves. I had to say something. That does seem effective. There's another thing to keep in mind. What would that be? We gotta get the monkeys to reveal themselves. The wolves would definitely prioritize killing the ones with guardians, right? But if we lynch someone today, you would lower the amount of options for them to choose from. Now, if the potential victim of the lynching ended up being one with a guardian, they would have no choice but to reveal it. Since humans can't lie and wolves know each other, they would instantly know if the one claiming to have the guardian was telling the truth. But at that point, there's no benefit for those with guardians to come out. None of them have used their powers to gain any information. And they would only die to the wolves. Yes. That is true. Of course, it's not likely you would land a guardian, but if you hang humans, you would also lower the number of targets for the wolves. There are currently 13 non-wolves, and taking one away would leave 12, and the wolves will choose one of them. And the lower the number, the higher the chance they hit one with a guardian. I'm starting to think that hanging on the first day does more harm than good. All it took was 3 lifetimes to figure that out for the town. I actually thought this was the way of handling the wolves was good for the humans. From what I could tell, Kaori-san and Haru-chan would be found out sooner than later. And my looping was generally... And I had my looping, and I was generally a scumbag, so I wasn't as shaken by the situation as they were. But my situation wasn't exactly solid. I could fall into traps set by the humans as well. What do you think, Takumi-ni? I don't like that we're continuing on like the wolves will definitely kill someone. But I can understand not killing if we're not getting killed ourselves. Old man? The wolves will kill. Maybe, but still. But I get what the big guy's saying. Vote on whether we hang someone today. That'll do. Uematsu, record. Who do we kill here? You can't kill Yasunaga. Kaori will lose her shit. Kaori needs to get, like, fully indoctrinated before we kill Yasunaga. The one you kill here... Man, this is tough. You kill Takumi, the fat guy, or the old man. That's who you kill. The old man being Kanzo. I think that's who you kill here. Oh, I forgot. You said that the monkeys don't have a reason not to reveal themselves, right? Kanzo then or Takumi since he... Yeah, it's like one of that. It's one of those 3. Yes. They can assure one another's legitimacy, which makes them hard to fake, and they have no powers, which makes them unpopular targets. Ah, naruhodo. With that in mind, I am a monkey. If you kill Kanzo, then Takumi becomes the leader. You have to kill who won't unify people. As for the other monkey, the letters were unclear and hard to read, but it's something Dasan. Yeah, I'm Chikamochi Kamoshida. I'm the monkey. I am the monkey. I am... Please stop. I see. So you're a monkey. Pure relief. Yasunaga-kun was glad that his best friend was definitely not a wolf. Such behavior was a good way to guess whether someone was a wolf or not. Reactions were important. I guess that confirms that this Hashimoto-san isn't just a wolf acting friendly. Can we start a vote? We gotta decide if we're lynching or not. No. We're deciding if we're hanging today or waiting until someone dies. Once they do, we're hanging people no matter what. Swear that. Yup. Well, I guess it makes sense. We can't just let them kill us and do nothing. Kill Takumi, then Kanzo? You might want to kill the fat guy. No, because that won't sow dissent. You gotta kill Takumi. Taiba, you ready? Yes. No objections. I'm okay with it. With no more counter-arguments, we began the vote. The results came quick. The only ones who voted to hang someone today were the old wolf guy and Kanzo. Everyone else chose to wait until the wolves made a move, so we didn't hang anyone today. You kill the fat guy and it makes no difference? Yeah, but he's sharp. He might actually catch us. The dining hall was a much more pleasant place than it was in the morning. Yasumizu was a place full of decent people who readily accepted the idea that they wouldn't have to kill anyone here today. His guardian may be powerful. His guardian may be not powerful, but his mind is powerful. The same applied to the wolves, or so I thought, but they didn't look so good. That's an interesting science. You've been to the seminars? Yeah, they were led by Kimiyoshi-sensei. Kimiyoshi? I'm pretty sure a Japanese person I met in Lhasa was a college lecturer with that name. Because by revealing the monkeys, you just remove the 2 people with powers from kill targets. Yeah, I don't know how greedy you want to get. You kill Nosato, then have Kaori poison the rest of the town at once. I mean, of course that's meta. Oh, that's giga meta, actually. That, because you kill the doctor. Well, you'd have to get Rikako-san out of there too, right? And then you have Kaori poison everyone. That's kind of busted. Ah, that has to be him. He specializes in Sino-Tibetan languages, so he travels there every now and again. I see. What a small world. At least to people like you and him. Another reason was Hashimoto-san. Once he stopped being silent, he turned out to be extremely sociable and understanding. The dining hall would fall silent every now and then, so he walked around and talked to people, bolstering morale and seeming naturally suited to the role. He wasn't exactly a jokester, but everyone who talked to him seemed to be having fun. He'd even gotten a faint smile out of Haru-chan. I wasn't jealous or anything. Why is this the Haru route? I wonder why Chiemi hadn't told me much about her specialty. And honestly, I had no right to be jealous. I'd already used my looping to get together with 2 women. No, doing what I did back then seemed the best thing to do in these situations, and putting Haru-chan aside for a moment, both Chiemi and Rikako-san were really charming. Yeah, Hashimoto's kind of busted. Chiemi was a bit unhinged at her core, but Misuji wasn't all that different. Rikako-san was fun, and her two-faced nature was kind of attractive to me. But, well, I really wasn't in a position to think about what came after the mist cleared. I wish to talk to you, Haruaki-san. Oh, sorry, I'm busy. I'm sorry. My apologies. I was making dinner with Kaori-san. I'd invited her to do it so we would be well fed and ready for tomorrow. Of course, this was to distract her from reality. I didn't want her unpleasant nature to take over and make her throw an aconite in the food, so I took it upon myself to cut the veggies. As I worked, I watched what was going on at the dining hall. I could see most of their faces from the counter. Last time, the first day was relatively peaceful, but this day was even more relaxed. Tai-san's incessant prayers and Kanzo-san's continuous state of high alert made it a bit uncomfortable, but that was it. One reason for the good atmosphere here was the fact that no one had died, so it was still possible that it was just some kind of sick joke. Another reason was the presence of the one who died all the previous times, Hashimoto-san. He was a master at helping everyone lighten up. I could even include Mamiya-san as a reason. Hashimoto-san was alive, and she wasn't a wolf this time, so she wasn't hysterical like in the previous loop. Though, she was writing something with a troubled frown on her face. Gathering material, I assume. I'm not sure if I'll turn this into an article, so I'll go with no for now. It was interesting, though. The occult? Yes. I just thought that the local story doesn't seem very Japanese. Oh, I'm interested in that. Can I even talk about this? Won't my take on local legends upset you? Who knows? I'm kind of interested. I don't care. I don't have anything better to do. What about you, Ri-chan? That's your thing, right? No, work concerning the divine is Miguruma's responsibility. But I would be lying if I said I was not interested. Things were going just like they had last time. Everyone was interested in what she had to say, and she revealed her knowledge about god slaying and servant worship. Susanoo beating Orochi, Aesop's fables, the Okami, Izanami. Then Tai-san became upset, just like last time. The only difference was that I wasn't involved in the conversation. Okay, let's leave it at that. Though, there's something that has me curious. I want to tell you more about the song that's sung here. Oh, she herself mentioned it this time. It led to just about the same words as last time, but Mamiya-san pointed out that the lyrics had a lot to do with the feast. She began questioning the parts she didn't understand, such as the badger, and Kyonosuke-shi, among others, answered her. Interesting, but it's strange that the badger disappeared. I wonder why. The thing that I'd pointed out last time was now pointed out by Hashimoto-san. He and Mamiya-san continued examining the relationship between prayer to Shinai and the feast. Tai-san mentioned that the badger was a servant of the Okami and that there was a statue in the Shinai shrine. She also talked about the late Gensan's words. The badger's waiting for the Okami-sama to return. I have a bad feeling about this. What if there is a badger among us? He raised the same suspicion that I had. If Makishima-san participated in the previous feast, then this Gensan must have been there too. They I can't. I am like a 5-year-old when it comes to jokes. I just can't not laugh at this stupid shit. They had a badger there, and it might have left it as an indirect warning. Come on, Hashimoto-san. That's just a guess, right? Well, I guess there's no conclusive evidence. Now it's time for something new. Okami. Yomotsu Okami. Great God. Oh, you're in the best route? What's up, Mo? Yeah. We're the wolf now. I can't wait to slaughter some of these fools. Hashimoto-san, I think I realized something amazing. Yeah, Mo actually started this like literally a week or two before I did. Completely coincidentally. I'm listening. This might feel abrupt, but do any of you know the origin of the name Shinai? She'd been curious about this in Kami Fujiyoshi too. What of it though? I heard that Mount Shinai is officially Mount Sarunashi, excuse me. Sarunashi probably became Saru, while Nashi became Nashi. I don't understand. That's wrong, Nosato-sama. Shinai-sama has always been Shinai-sama from the start. The authorities just changed the kanji in the Meiji period because it was too hard to read. So the other way around, eh? Shinai could be... Oh yeah, it would like... Shinai. I wonder if that's where she's going. And like goes back to looping. Oh yeah. So it was always Shinai, Yamawaki-san. Do you know where it comes from? I do not. It's probably a kanji trick. Mamiya-san ripped out a page from her notebook and put it on the table. Shin-nai. The nai kanji is made up of the kanji for big and show. The big show? It's the big show, baby. The wrestler just comes through. That's the Big Show's music. Shinai, I thought that was the Big Show. She wrote down the relevant kanji. When you switch them around, she then wrote down the kanji for big and show to the right of it and shin to the right. The result was big show. To the left side of the kanji for God, there's a radical for sho, and it's even more obvious in the old form. This means that the result is Okami, great God. Wait, so if you flip Shinai, you get Okami? Shinai equals Okami. Isn't that the intention? Wait, that's pure nonsense. Tai-san shouted hysterically. You could hear in her voice that she was shook up. Of course she would be. According to Yasumizu's legend, the humans and servants killed the wolves. However, it reinforced my theory. I had lots of clues that led me to think that Okami and Great Lord Shinai were one and the same. His use of the corruption was one thing. Another thing was the fact that he was neutral in the battle between the human and the wolves. Or Yomibito and the wolves. Wolf is the one true god? Perhaps. Oh, maybe, right? That big wolf that... Maybe that's what Chemi saw. Yet another thing was the local outlook on life and death. If people went to Yomi upon death, they would go there regardless if they were hanged or killed by wolves. That was why they said, rise not. It meant go into the Yomi and don't return. However, in the Shinai faith, the mountain was a place where corpses were buried, so it wasn't strange for it to be considered the same as the world of the dead. Anyway, Izanami lost her life after birthing many gods, and after a lot of trouble ended up becoming goddess in control of Ne no Kuni. So the person in rags wasn't Shinai? Maybe. Another name for the Yomi, the underworld. There's also Neno Katasukuni. Some people say somewhere beyond the sea. Others think it's Neno Kuni is just a place within Yomi. Maybe I was reading into this too deeply, but Neno Kuni, country of roots, gave me an image of the underground of a tree-covered mountain. Wait. Sure, that's not a stretch. What's the point of hiding the great god side of Okami anyway? Maybe they did it there so there wouldn't be any confusion with the Omiwa shrine. Or maybe they warped it to incorporate it into Shinto. Or maybe they needed to hide the faith. Hide the faith? They could have been in a situation where they couldn't worship the Okami-sama in public, so they had to hide it. That might have protected the faith by making it change shape, like how during the Edo ban of Christianity, early Japanese Christians worshipped Maria Kannon instead. And you're looping because Izanagi is trying to stop Izanami from doing this. I think that theory holds a lot of water. I also think we might just be dead in hell, and like, this is just how we are experiencing hell. Also, it's not unusual for God's main servant to be confused for God himself. This might not sit well with some of you, but legends and myths can change, not just through borrowing aspects of other legends and myths, but also through political events. There was a time where myths and government were closely tied, so myths had to change whenever the politics did. If settlements merged, their gods would marry, while gods of places annexed through war would become the conquerors, gods' servants, or even demons. You could loop in Naruto? Or maybe they'd merge separate gods into one. The people shaped them according to the power balances of their day. That's why powerful gods and devils have many other names, forms, and incarnations. They are remnants of long-forgotten faiths. It was one of the Sharingan's powers. Ah, yes, of course. The legends and myths that have lived to this day survived through countless such changes. They would have contradictions. With that in mind, if you look at it from that perspective, the meaning of prayer to Shinai changes a lot, though I don't know the truth, of course. After all, the song doesn't mention anything about wolves or guardians being opposed to each other. That was true. Now, if Okami or Shinai-san was still on good servant-master terms with the 5 guardians, perhaps he gave the people the powers of the guardians and used the song to inspire them to fight Yomibito. In other words, fight among themselves. They'd kill a bunch of Uchiha, then one would Izanagi, and they'd all come back to life. That is kind of broken. She went that far with this audience? Apologies, but hearing that is not pleasant in the least. Exactly. Don't talk like you know more than us. Naturally, Rikako-san and Tai-san had something to say about all that. We are truly sorry. We are inquiring into these legends and myths because they seem credible. If they didn't, we wouldn't have participated in this, instead insisted on leaving and calling the police. That's kind of weird that he's just like going with it. He says they seem credible. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'd say you're half trustworthy, Serizawa-san. No one here is actually suspicious yet. But it just so happens that the badger was almost left out of the legend. But the legends and the feast rules were transferred through word of mouth. We're simply afraid that you two, despite your extensive knowledge of the legends, happen to miss or forget something important. Yeah, that would make the most sense. He's in it because he has a guardian. Oh no, he definitely has a guardian. Sorry, he's the monkey, yeah. It is true that I cannot deny the possibility completely. Uematsu-sama, but... Well, at its core, it's more simple than it seems. Uribe-kun, was it? Aye. We agreed that humans wouldn't lie. But if there were a human that sided with the wolves, a badger, basically, he or she would surely lie or do something drastic for the sake of the wolves. Don't you agree? That's true. Even if it has nothing to do with any badger, we should be wary of such a case. But a compulsive liar is an ally to the wolves, even if they're human. We'll hang them on the spot, right? Yoshitsugu-kun, who had been sitting in the corner staring at a wall this time, suddenly spoke up. He wasn't wrong in the least, which was probably intended by Hashimoto-san. It appears we will have to avoid doing something we would regret. That's true. You don't have to tell us. We all live honest lives. Shinai-sama is watching over us always. I like that. It's a simplistic fate that brings out the best in humanity. With that, I finally understood something. Yudai Hashimoto was the same type of person as me. He controlled people through speech and manipulated their emotions through words to put himself in an advantageous position. The difference between us was that his conscience, presence, and persuasiveness were far above mine. He was a human, an enemy to the wolves. Haru-chan was in a seat next to Yasunaga-kun and Mochi, not saying a word. Pretending to pick something up from the counter, I crouched down and looked at Kaori-san. With her back to everyone, she cut veggies, and through her expression, wasn't as bad as before, but she was still full of anguish and unease. Time passed and everyone chatted, ate a larger dinner than ever before, chatted a bit more, and then split up. The only notable thing was the moment when Mamiya-san tried to ask Kanzo-san about the previous feast. Hashimoto-san stopped her, though. I noticed Haru-chan make a face, and part of me was relieved. The previous feast took her parents, and it was that time she went into the mist and lived to tell the tale. It'd have been bad if she'd gone crazy again. Hashimoto-san seemed to have noticed this possibility, so he stopped Mamiya-san to prevent that. Was it really good to help him survive? A part of me actually believed that. Sure, without him, I'd been a human and survived the feast, but it didn't solve anything. Becoming a wolf and making an enemy out of him was just an unfortunate side effect that came with letting him live. And I had to accept that. After dinner, right when everyone was preparing to split up, Hashimoto-san whispered something to Takumi-san. Takumi-san's expression suddenly turned serious. Hey everyone, listen up. Apparently, Hashimoto-san told him that he should say something, and Takumi-san did exactly that. Alex, I'm surprised your camera picks up your tail movements. Yeah, it's really good at that, actually. I can, it's very advanced technology, you know? We didn't hang anyone today. That's why, even if there are wolves among us, I want to believe they won't kill anyone tonight. If that happens, we won't hang anyone tomorrow either. That ain't happening. Unless we ping whoever the spider protects. But if that does happen, it means one of us here will be gone for good. These will be your final moments together. This game's only 5 years old. No, it's 7 years old. So yeah, it's not an Amogus game. It's not a post-Amogus game. Keep that in mind and tell them everything you have to. You'll have less regrets that way. The bright mood suddenly changed. The mood turned heavy as everyone exchanged handshakes and gave their thanks. Chemi, Haru, even Yoshitsugu became teary-eyed as Kori-san said these words to her sons. If I'm gone tomorrow, live strong, you two. She was a wolf, but her words were so honest that they both listened without a word. The village heads here seemed lonely, giving Tai-san and Takumi-san fuel for doubt, while Mochi talked to the old wolf guy. Damn, can Raging Loop sue Amogus for stealing their idea? I don't know. They might be able to. It was a moment when their relationship became very clear. Oji-chan. One particularly impactful moment was Haru approaching her grandfather. Her eyes were still red from her goodbyes to Yasunaga and Mochi. Oji-chan, if I don't wake up tomorrow... Ain't happening. For a moment, it looked like he knew what she was, but then... No way. You yourself said that the wolves will kill. Are you trying to be nice to me by lying to me all alone? Kanzo-san didn't know how to respond, which was a rarity for him. I don't need that, so just listen. If I die, try not to drink too much, even if I'm not here. Haru. Kanzo-san slowly extended his hand to her, but it was too late. Haru-chan had already turned around. A grandfather and granddaughter, both awkward beyond belief. After watching their exchange, I was actually relieved that Haru-chan didn't say anything she shouldn't have, which made me question my own humanity again. Yasunaga-kun must have been in a similar state of mind the first time. Feeling sympathy for the first wolf I'd encountered, I gave Chiemi, who'd approached to give her goodbyes to me some half-hearted, nice words. I'd done the same for Rikako-san, who'd finished the exchange with a silent but resolute farewell. I'll forgive you for what happened during the day. Don't want to leave any regrets floating around if we don't meet tomorrow, huh? Yeah. That was that with Haru-chan. The disgrace on my name was cleared, and she now neither liked nor disliked me. Sorry for taking your time. Good night, people. Takumi-san nonchalantly concluded the event. Everyone silently began leaving the dining hall. I hope you come back, Fusaishi-san. We were done with the after-dinner cleanup. I had no reason to stay behind. I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but it was because I just couldn't, not because there was no one there. Everyone was probably using this as a chance to have the secret talk that they couldn't, and were just silently listening for others. It was probably a good idea to thank him. I heard someone's voices near the stairs by the dorm. Mamiya-san was talking to Hashimoto-san, right where she died last time. How serious are they? Completely, I would say. That means we'll be killed if we act suspicious. Like every journalist knows, the scariest thing in this world are humans. Yes, even in occult matters, when somebody dies and there's proof, it's always done by humans. Excuse me. I considered eavesdropping, but it'd have been bad if they noticed, so I called over. Fusaishi-kun, you scared me. I'm sorry, Hashimoto-san. Thank you for what you did today. I did something? If things continued like they did, I would have been killed. Oh, well, if that happened, we would have surely been next. That's true, but really, thank you. No need for that. You helped us when the mist came, so let's consider it even. Okay, but is it really bad to walk around at night? Seems like a good time to escape. I suggested that too. I don't think it's a good idea. I've never seen a mist so dense. You'd get lost if you went in the mountain at night. It might be small, but it's still dangerous. Also, the residents here consider that taboo, and they're probably the bigger danger. You think they'd attack us? Oh no, I don't think so. It's just that belief can sometimes make people see illusions. If we're surrounded by those who believe, we will eventually join their ranks. From my experience, the best thing to do in these situations is to distract yourself and think about something else. Those were some meaningful words. You don't believe in any legends, do you? I don't think about whether I believe or not. That's something for the specialists to think about once they've assured their safety. Right, Cute-chan? I don't know. I'm not sure if I can make an article out of this. Personally, I just want to leave this place in peace. I see. I hope that happens. That was the end. I bid them goodnight and went on my way. I hadn't met anyone else on my way back to the prefab. Yoshitsugu-kun didn't invite me to go out at night, and neither Chemi nor Rikako visited to have a talk. They were probably satisfied with their goodbyes in the dining hall. Everyone used to struggle at this time because they hadn't felt like they'd done everything they had to. This time was different, though. Everyone was calmly waiting for the wolves to strike, fully ready for it. The humans were in perfect mental state. There was nothing for them to worry about. And it was all because of Hashimoto-san. Then there was that exchange just now. Oh, well, if that happened, we would have surely been next. To me, that sounded like, I didn't do it for your sake. They helped us when the mist comes, so let's consider us even. And that was like, you sure helped us at a strange time, huh? He seemed reasonably suspicious of me. Was I just overthinking this? No, that would be overly optimistic. It was clear to me that he'd made it past the first day better than anyone so far, even myself. If he was that talented, he must have already analyzed the situation and noticed that something was strange. They happened to have their tires burst, then given rooms, then gotten caught up in the feast. It was clearly orchestrated, and I was the only one who stood out as a suspect. I'd been chosen by a village head, joined them in their van, and actively gave them a place to sleep. The situation was made even worse by the fact that they were right, and that I was a wolf. Since I couldn't mention the looping, I couldn't really say that I was their savior. Not only that, but he was a monkey. He'd secured a good role in a relationship with the others, and had a surprisingly keen eye and mind. He'd have been an extremely reliable ally. I'd really appreciated when he presented the idea that we shouldn't hang anyone today. After all, at that moment, just like Kanzo-san, I thought that not hanging anyone was foolish. Thus, I thought that he was foolish too. But now, because of his idea, everyone became somewhat ready to accept someone's death and to unify the defeat of the wolves responsible. He'd also succeeded in preventing the lynching way smoother than I could. I could only create a stalemate, while he actually talked to people into voting for or against hanging. Kanzo-san didn't want to look like he broke, so he hadn't changed his opinion, but he was still pretty accepting of the idea not to hang anyone. Ow. Hold on, I just scraped my foot. Ow. Ow, ow. Okay. Kanzo-san didn't want to look like blah, blah, blah. Hashimoto-san did it with great finesse, and it was something I couldn't do. We'd eventually find out if it was a good thing or not, or rather, they'd decide based on what the wolves did today. However, I'd already felt like I was falling behind him. Would I really have to defeat him? There was Mamiya-san too. She was way more stable and smart than last time. The way she'd pointed out that Shinai was probably Okami showed that she would be extremely useful in finding out the truth. She'd also noticed and mentioned the badger without my help. She'd probably noticed it last time too, but hadn't mentioned it because she was a wolf. This time, with Hashimoto-san's suggestion, they decided that they would hang all liars, regardless of if they were wolves or badgers. That was a smart move. It kept the humans from lying just for the sake of it, and countered the badger whether it existed or not. They were a pretty balanced pair. Mamiya-san was blunt and straightforward, while Hashimoto-san generally reproved her and provided only the best solutions. They were a much better team than I'd expected, and the fact that they were enemies was quite bad for us. As a wolf, I had to consider the other humans too, especially the Oribes. After all, their mother, the demon who tried to kill everyone and swallowed her last words for their sake, was a wolf this time. If I didn't go about this the right way, I would be the one to die. Haru-chan probably wouldn't want to kill Yasunaga or Mochi either. Kanzo was her family too, but I wasn't sure about their relationship. Still, I didn't think she'd want to kill him. And finally, could I really kill Chiemi or Rikako-san? Though it was all made void by looping, they liked me and I liked them. Would I really whisper sweet nothings to them during the day, only to kill them at night? I didn't want to do that. That thought was my last before my consciousness faded. Huh? I jumped up, throwing the blanket to the side. Why was I asleep? Didn't I have something to do as a wolf? I could feel myself turning pale as I realized I had just made a huge mistake. But the next moment, I noticed something that terrified me in a whole different way. There was something next to my legs. Unable to understand what it was, I let fear take control and pathetically backed away. Nothing was happening. I reached in my bag, took out a flashlight I got from the convenience store, and turned it on. What the hell was all this? It looked like the parts of a costume. Particularly the kind used in action hero shows. No, that didn't seem right either. It was just some traditional ritual clothing. Bracers, tabi, straw zori, a faded kimono, and a hakama. All of it smelled awful, like a half-dried laundry being boiled. There was something that stood out more than the rest. It was a kimono underskirt with some blurry sutra-like text on it. Oh, there was another piece of cloth with similar text on it, and it was connected to something weird. Oh, was this a mask? A noble gift we've given you. You shall wear it and cleanse yourself. Right. That thing had told us to wear this. We were supposed to put this on and cleanse ourselves? The bad smell made me really apprehensive. Did they have the order wrong? Didn't cleansing come before putting on some sacred clothing? That reminded me that I hadn't cleansed myself before sleeping. Wasn't that bad? Remembering the situation, I checked the time again. The phone I'd charged with a battery showed that it was 10 o'clock. Great Lord Shinai had momentarily put me to sleep to bring this thing here. What if I hadn't woken up? Man, were they treading a fine line here. That aside, I was basically being told to put this on and go outside. I gathered my resolve. Was this good enough? Though the lighting here was poor, there were fewer pieces than I thought, so I could put it on without too much trouble. I was unexpectedly well designed, and from what I could tell, it was hand-sewn. The mane, did wolves even have manes? Seemed to be made of rice straw. Didn't seem cheap at all, and though I couldn't be sure, it seemed to be designed to look divinely imposing. The mask seemed to be a wooden carving with an insane amount of detail work put into it. A true masterpiece. By the time I put it on, I didn't care much about the smell. It wasn't hard to move in or anything. The inscribed cloth on the bottom was connected to the belt. I put it on like it was a traditional grass skirt, and it wasn't a big hindrance for running or anything. The cloth connected to the mask hid the face like some kind of stranglehold, stagehands, clothing, and I could only see a head through the gaps between them. The wolf-like mask itself was simply resting on my forehead. As I put it on, I found a bucket and a ladle among the items. It was full of water, and I knew I had to cleanse myself with this. I was a bit apprehensive about it, but I took out some water and poured it on my head. It jumped off the rice straws, making my shoulders wet and spread across the area. Was I doing this right? I was still worried, but just putting it on was meaningless, so I put my hand on the door and sensed something bad outside. It wasn't anything vague like bloodlust or evil mojo. It was sounds I could actually hear. I heard grass being parted, something walking through the sand, shallow breathing, low growls, distant roars, full of malice. It reminded me of the time I was locked in the outhouse and I sensed something bestial outside. This was exactly the same as last time. There was something outside. Lots of them, in fact. Last time I'd only survived because I held the door shut when something was about to open it. And I had to go outside this time? I'd be okay just because I was wearing this? No way. It seemed like a sick joke. Oh, but I really wanted to see it. What a familiar sensation. Just then, the doorknob clattered. Fusaishi-san, are you awake? I still heard beasts outside, but the voice clearly belonged to a girl. Haru. Haru? Don't call me that. Is it safe? If you wear the mask and cleanse? Was she telling the truth? Was it really her outside? Even if it was some sort of illusion, if I didn't open, my presence in this flow of events would be pointless. I fired myself up and unlocked the door. Whoa! The moment I opened the door, I saw a short wolf that scared me like hell. You're too loud. Are you really Haru-chan? Yeah, look. She moved the cloth covering her face, and sure enough, it was her. She was clad in a wolf outfit and had the bucket and ladle in her hands. You need to take yours too. We're bringing these? Yeah, we need to spread water as we go. What the frick? She took some from her bucket and spread it behind her. The action was followed by squealing sounds. I felt something squirm and run off. What? The bringers of the corruption. She spread some more water. This time on me. Hey, it's cold. Hey, what are you doing? She repeated it a couple times with great intensity to boot. It's because you haven't cleansed yourself at all. I was supposed to be completely drenched? As if she felt that explaining was pointless, she just touched the cloth near her waist. Sure enough, it was completely wet. Can I ask you something? Assuming that's how you're supposed to do it, how did you know? I'm not sure why, but I just knew. Are you hiding something? I'm not. We're both wolves. You shouldn't hide anything. What are you worried about? Those words shut me up. Well, I get how you feel. I've calmed down already, so you'll soon be used to this too. I think. Alright. I wasn't satisfied, but I backed down anyways. By the way, if you're not used to talking polite, you don't have to. Please don't act like we're close. Let's go. Kaori-san is waiting. Yeah, the chasm between us was wide. Or maybe Chiemi and Rikaku were just too easy. Why are you going for Haru, bro? Apparently... Oh. Hey! A Blaze Emblem Mirror. Thank you for the raid. Hope you all had fun. Good stuff. Those of you who are joining, I present nerds. Those of you who are joining just now, welcome. We are playing a visual novel. It's called Raging Loop. If you haven't played it before, I highly recommend it. If you want to just chill out, you're welcome to. If you don't want to be spoiled, I do have all this on YouTube. You can check out my YouTube down there. Oh, Weeaboo26, thank you for the follow. We are actually 2 follows away from 300 now. So if anyone else would like to hit that follow button, it would be very much appreciated. And I do hope you hang out. If not, I'll be back on Sunday for fighting games. I'm going to play some Strive on the new patch. So thank you so much again for the raid, and I hope everyone who came through is having a good time. Apparently Haru-chan had walked through the mist without any light. I took out my small flashlight. What's that? It's so cool. And I was met with a weird reaction. No problem. I thought I followed during the first time. Yeah, we're close. We're close. I'm doing the debut regardless next Saturday. I'll talk about that at the end of the stream. But 300 would be great to reach. You can have it. I have another one. I'd prepared them in case I ended up running away with someone at night. I sure as hell hadn't expected to be a wolf, though. Whoa. Really? Yeah, it's dangerous in the dark. How did you get to me anyways? I know Yasumizu's paths by heart. Made sense. It was dangerous regardless, though, so I just gave her one and showed her how to use it. Just make sure no one knows about it. It'd be really bad for us if they find out we walk around at night. That's true. All right. She spread some water again, then put the ladle back and took the flashlight. You spread the water now. She led me through the dark path. I could barely see anything, but I did sense something bestial in the darkness. Ooh. It was clearly hostile towards us, and several of them were surrounding us from a distance. However, they didn't come any closer. They also backed away if I spread some water. Spooky. The flashlight could barely make it through the mist, so it didn't help me to see anything in the distance. It was pretty useless, to be honest, but Haru-chan seemed to like it. She also swung it around like a sword, or rather a lightsaber. What were these bringers of the corruption anyways? Actual Japanese wolves, perhaps? Every now and then I saw eyes light up in the mist. Besides that, I also heard growls and the sounds of something stepping in the sand. Dogs, right? That had to be it. Yasumizu was completely full of dogs right now. That expression made it seem adorable. Aww. But, seriously? No way. If my assumption was right, this situation was way scarier than some simple supernatural phenomenon. I continued spreading water, too much of it, all the way there. Fusaishi-san. A wolf of the same stature as Kaori-san stood up from the chair in the dining hall. It was very surreal. Oh, look, it's us. Look at us. We're just 3 wolves hanging out. Yes, I'm Fusaishi. You're Kaori-san, right? Yes. I was a bit worried. By the time I came, he'd already changed and he was about to leave. You didn't have any problems? Not really. Did you also know how all this works? Yes. I have no idea why, but I just knew it. It's strange, but it probably had something to do with what Shinai-sama said. There were 3 of him, right? Is it supposed to be like that? I need to find 2 other wolves to hang out with? Yeah, you could just be chilling like this. Look. I don't know. The journalist said that Shinai-sama was Okami-sama. Maybe that's why we have 3 of them. That means that there are guardians. 1 for each of us. That's good enough for you? I mean, you saw them, right? Right. That strange experience did actually seem supernatural. People actually tended to accept anything they could see. Then, shall we go? Where? To kill. Wait, what? We have to decide who to kill first. Oh, that's true. I guess I'm in a bit of a rush. Looking at today's feast, Oji-chan is probably the best choice. Hello? She just wants to shoot her grandpa right now? I think Takumi-san is pretty dangerous too. I like Kaori's thought. Wait, are you 2 serious? About what? You lady? You're scaring us. You'll have to kill your family. Aren't your sons important to you? She twitched and tilted in an unnatural way. I know. I know that. So they must really not give a shit once they're possessed. Of course they're important to me, but I have no choice. I must do as Shinai-sama says. Kaori-san. You too, Haru-chan. Do you really want to kill Yasunaga-kun and Mochi? Well, I don't, but what else can we do, though? Run away from here? That really wasn't the way to go. We'd get lost or killed by the monsters. The mist would send me back to square one. All I could do here was pick one or the other. Well, these are both death routes, huh? Massacre? Kill no one? Wait. What would be the other option here? We're killing someone, right? Interesting. I mean, these will both kill us. I think. Key 17 and key 18. I mean... Hold on. 3 paths, 2 keys. This feels like the like similar to the cop part. I'm going massacre. We're wolves. Wolves must kill the Yomibito. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I'm fine with it. I'm just wondering if you are. You're not gonna stab me in the back if I'm about to kill someone important to you, are you? I don't question your faith in Great Lord Shinai, but I don't think you're inhuman enough to throw away your humanity just because God told you to. I'll ask again. We're killing them for real. Are you sure you want to do this? All right. I'm fine. She went on and said it. And you? All right. Then my words were cut off, and so was my breathing. What? We have to kill ourselves. An intense heat or cold. She literally stabbed us in the back. Also, joke's on you, Zen. This was way fucking quicker. This was way fucking quicker than killing nobody. Then we would rise from Yomi and get to see them again. When that sensation was pulled out of my body, I began to feel my life leave me. Then I won't have to... How many times is this woman going to kill us? I understand that she was stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I didn't expect it to be so bad that she'd resort to such drastic measures. I collapsed forward. Now, Haru-chan, hold still. You traitor! Was the last thing I heard as I choked on my own blood and breathed my last breath. Had I chosen the wrong way to go about it, or how could I have convinced her? My question faded with consciousness. Yeah, Mimir. Key 7, Hariti. We finally become a wolf, but there must be things I can only see from this perspective to be a wolf. Numbers aren't available. I'm glad wolves can be virtuous, but getting killed is my idea of fun. She said that we would come up from... Yeah. No, Koyo, I am so sure everybody is looping at this point, too. And, like, they probably all think they're the only ones that are looping. All right, let's kill no one. We shouldn't kill. Now Haru's gonna stab us. Can we just not do this? The rule was 1 kill per night. Just like with humans, that was a limit. Basically, we couldn't kill 2 or more, but there was no rule about not killing at all. Thankfully, we had the perfect situation for that. Get a grip, Kaori-san. This isn't something divine. It's just a terrible conspiracy. Oh, you think none of them remember the looping? That might be the case. You will regret listening to it. Your body proves it. Body? You're shaking, you can barely talk. If it's so hard for you, you don't have to force yourself to be Shinai's servant. Thankfully, Takumi-san created a situation where they won't kill anyone if we don't kill first. No one will have to kill anyone if we don't start it. Really? Is that true? Yes. As long as neither side harms the other, we can find a solution to this. Of course, it's hard to maintain mutual trust in this situation. Isn't it much better than killing your own sons? You're right. Of course. I did it. Yasumizu's laws weren't absolute. I'd just proven it. Or so I thought. Toink! Yeah. Felt a light impact on my side, and when blood started pouring out, I thought I was living in some sick joke. A moment later, my consciousness quickly began to fade, making me once again realize that death could come out of nowhere. As I collapsed on my back, my eyes met those of the smallish wolf, Haru-chan. Even through the cloth, I could tell they were cold, stern, and full of disgust. And hatred for the powerless vermin. I should have expected anything from an outsider. The words were even colder than the encroaching shadow of death. The mountain's laws are absolute. In her hand, she was holding a bloody grass sickle. You know that, don't you, Kaori-san? My vision soon faded completely. We must put Nichan and Yoshi-kun out of their misery. At first, I'd felt the taste of blood in my mouth, but even that was gone now. That's our mission. I couldn't feel warmth or cold anymore. No, I won't. All right, then die. She's gonna try to 14v1 this thing. Okay. The wolves this time were just awful. Yeah, true. Obtain key, irrational purge. Game over. Bad ending number 21. Here we go. All or nothing. Or maybe something. Trick them. If I insisted on killing, the mother snapped. And if I insisted on not killing, it was the girl. That experience made it impossible for me to choose either. The locals could at least have had the decency to harbor some kind of madness. You can't call it a bad end if it's forced. 21. Yeah, I don't like, they did this with the cop too earlier, where you had to go down like multiple ways of dying just to get the other route. And it almost feels like they're just trying to pad the number of keys that you get. And I also wanted to find a scenario in which I didn't die. Thus, I decided to spend this timeline fulfilling the role of the wolf. Also, it seemed easier to create a full fanatic out of a doubter than to correct any unwavering zealots. I'd have to make Kaori-san kill her sons. For that, I needed a good story. I'm not sure if you'll believe me. She needs a story that could match the absurd legends. But I actually came here to save this village. It had to be like entertainment and seem fiction. Like something Rikako-san would like. Excuse me? To save us? They lended an ear to me. I had it in the bag now. They want to show that the ideas are stupid. I mean, it's fine. It's fun, and it only takes like a minute or whatever. But I don't know. I don't like the, here's the brick wall. Here are 2 other buttons that you have to push really quick, and then you can get through the brick wall. Maybe if you made that choice. Like, I like when the choices are in different spots of the timeline, or the locks are in different spots of the timeline, so that the keys, like, make sense later. You may not believe this, but I can see things most people can't. That power gave me some trouble, but now I use it to solve certain problems. It makes so much sense to be like, okay, we have to kill, and Kaori kills you. Yeah. It does. Then what was that about giving up on life? A lie. A young man seeking death has shown sympathy in rural areas. I often need to blend in on my jobs. Yeah, it's true. This time, I came on the request of someone from Kami Fujiyoshi. Who? A village head? Yes. I can't say who, though. I was told to investigate the supernatural phenomenon here in Yasumizu. I infiltrated Yasumizu, and sure enough, everyone is barely human. Like, why would you wake up trick them? I mean, it makes some sense, I guess. Kaori-san gasped. None of them knew it. The boundary between Yasumizu and the afterlife is indistinct, so neither you nor they realize it. But now that the mist is here, the false peace is over, and now we must fight those who fell to Yomi. That's what the mountain god, Great Lord Shinai, desires. Last night, we saw what the wolf-faced god wants. Why is this happening? The truth was less important than the ties to the real story. That's the kind of place Yasumizu is. Anyone who eats the local food eventually becomes part of Yomi in both mind and body. That's what happened to Great Lord Shinai's guardians too. They resurrect whenever the mist comes. And this god must defeat them every time. Why is he being so indirect about this? Because he's weak right now. That surprised them both. Shinai is weak? Yes. After all, the mountain is controlled by 4 head families who worship the 4 deceased guardians. They probably don't know it, though, and they probably wouldn't believe if you told them that their ancestors have already betrayed their god and sided with Yomi. Someone will have to deal with them, too. But for now, we just have to survive. Is everyone in Kamifujiyoshi a Yomibito, too? No. Apparently, it's just everyone in Yasumizu. You're the only humans here. I'm not sure why, though. No. Wait. Kaori-san, you're not from around here, are you? There's a connection pulling you to your homeland. Somewhere north of here? How did you know? I just saw it. That was a lie, but as someone experiencing these loops, I could easily simulate the supernatural phenomenon of knowing things before they were told to me. Hitting them with the Nightmare Alley. What about me? You. I honestly don't know if I should say it. I was honest this time. Immediately went to Siren? What's Siren? She'd survived going to Yasumizu 8 years ago. That alone was special enough, but would she be okay to hear it? I would just buy some time. I'll take this. Thank you. Horror game franchise? Ooh. I haven't played a good horror game on here in a while. I thought this game would be scarier than it was. I was looking for either a scary VN or a scary game to play. I took a small, sharp grass sickle from her hand. It didn't seem like a supernatural power exactly, but I just needed to look skilled. It's akin to Silent Hill, considering the Silent Hill devs made Siren. Oh, I like Silent Hill. I've played 1 and 2 of Silent Hill. I like them a lot. You would have killed me if I, an outsider, went against Great Lord Shinai's laws, right? How? I'm used to rough stuff, too. Kaori-san, you also planned to go wild with that knife over there, didn't you? That's not true. It is. I can see a demonic goddess who loves her children within you. Silent Hill in Zen's living room at 2 a.m. was an experience. I've never held forward with my head buried in a pillow just because I knew something was going to jump out and I needed to run past it. What the hell was I saying? They were intently listening to me, at least. It's a strong and righteous goddess, but you're currently blinded by her. She keeps you from hurting your children and forcing the truth. Yeah, I learned that in horror games, I just have to hold W, hold forward, and close my eyes. That's how I get through them. I remember playing 2 and wasn't too bothered. You are braver than me, because I cried like a bitch. Yeah. I understand that you don't want to trust an outsider like me, but as you can see, I am your ally. I have the skill and experience needed to deal with the Yomibito, and know what must be done for that. So in this way, it's almost like you're not punished for like exposing that you're looping. You know, everyone, they either don't remember or there's some like unwritten rule that you're not supposed to tell people that you're looping. I will say that playing Dead Space kept you tense. Ooh. Kaori-san. No. Without them, my life would have been meaningless. I understand that it's not something I should say right now, but their lives don't belong to you, Kaori Oribe-san. They aren't a replacement for what Fujiyoshi took from you and what you lost here, especially your husband. Just how much do you... Your husband is right behind your right shoulder. He's a lot like Yoshitsugu-kun, isn't he? She began crying loudly. What a cliche act this was. They don't know that they're with Yomi now, and they're unknowingly tainting their souls. Their souls are silently crying. As their mother, you must rescue them. This is so fucked up. Can't you look at it that way? You need to survive, leave this place, and live your own life. Your husband seems to think that too. I haven't done anything motherly my whole life. No one will blame you. I know that this is only raising them and tying them down out of selfishness. I know that I was only raising them and tying them down out of selfishness. Damn. That line resonates, is all I'm gonna say. I had Yoshitsugu protect me and wish for Yasunaga to take me away from here. I have no talents and can't leave this place on my own. I looked at Haru-chan, worried she might pull something, but she just shrugged a bit. It's my fault that they don't get along well. I know, but what could I do about it? I had no idea that Kaori-san was hiding such weakness under her motherly strength. I had to ignore my guilt over taking advantage of it. It's not their fault either. The peace in Yasumizu was brief, but they survived and grew up to be great boys. But that's over now. We must end all this before the dream becomes a nightmare. No one's at fault. No one will hold a grudge against anyone. This is more like a natural disaster than anything else. It'd be horrible if that was true. Honestly, I silently hoped that my lie would not become a reality. I also felt that the root of all evil for her in my story were the Higuchi. They'd sent her here after all, but I kept quiet about all that. Anyway, my story seems to have captured her completely. One thing. Can I ask just one thing? Sure, what is it? I had to give her something to help her gather her resolve. If I will have to kill them, let me do it early. Let me put them out of their misery. That wouldn't be good for us. If we made the killings personal, someone would notice. Taking out Yasunaga-kun at the start was one thing, but following it up with Yoshitsugu? Would she even stay sane with them gone? But that's... I'm fine with that. Haru-chan had just silently listened for most of the story, but now she'd made herself an obstacle? You won't kill with us if we don't let you, right? I just want to put them out of their misery. That's it. That's always been. I just realized it. If you don't let me do it, I will do it myself. See? If Kaori-san let her emotions take over and acted independently, she'd most likely put us in a terrible situation. Like, is it Izanami making the wolves believe that, so they kill? I think so. I think the idea that, like, oh, they're the cursed Yomibito is how Shinai or the wolf or whoever is, or Izanami, is getting the wolves to actually kill. She'd probably prepare food with aconite. Kionosuke she would notice, and he'd be hanged. That'd be of no use for us. She could use more messy methods, but no matter what they were, they'd have minimal effect. Violence needed to have perfect timing and force behind it. In that sense, Chimi's rampage last time was perfect. If you make it personal and kill your sons, you would be suspected. I don't mind, even if it gets me hanged. Even if it gets you hanged? Dude, let's run the strat. Let's kill the doctor and then poison all the food. Your husband wants you to leave this place. Even if my sons or husband want it, I don't think I can bear killing them with my own hands. It'd trouble us. A single wolf's death means that a third of us would be gone. However, if you leave your death to us, then we will help you. This was awful. Yes. All right. It was awful. I was awful. This team sucks. I don't see your husband anymore. Dear. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Crap. To Kaori-san, her sons were basically a replacement for her husband. What she wanted now was basically a forced group suicide alongside her sons. That was the compromise. The overlap between the laws of the mountain and her ego. Why were humans so hard to manipulate? Then let's start with Yasunaga-kun today. Yes. Haru-chan, are you okay with that? Yeah, when we first saw them, I thought we had a squad, but this is kind of messed up. Does it matter? He's a Yomibito. You liked him, didn't you? It's a classic League of Legends ranked game. You know, you start and you're like, this team's going to be ridiculous. And then 5 minutes in, you're like, this team sucks. Like a brother, that's it. If you want to slay him tonight, I won't be selfish about it. What a good girl. Thank you. Everyone in Yasumizu was a good person. I wasn't, and to me, they seemed completely insane. Mamiya-san had probably felt similarly last time. That was why she died like that. Yeah, look at this comp, right? Look at us. And I had no intention to follow her footsteps. I decided that I would survive, and if that required me to become the best wolf, then so be it. The three of us went through the mist. The wolves parted the gray, cloudy air. It felt like I was in a plane that had floated into a cloudy night. We were careful, spreading water to keep the beasts at bay. trying not to trip or fall into the fields. Haru-chan and Kaori-san were probably just being considerate of me, though. Without me, they might have gone ahead quickly without hesitation. Not just because they were familiar with the land, but also because they seemed just about dangerous enough. They seemed like, if they decided on it, they could march straight to their grave. We were headed to the dorm. The disgusting deal with Kaori-san left us a few options to choose from, though getting rid of Yasunaga-kun wasn't a bad choice. He was extremely supportive of Hashimoto-san, so without him, the cameraman would lose some of his influence. And by shutting Hashimoto-san up, we would damage Mamiya-san too. Imagine if the corruption is just beasts and you keep them away with cleansing like that. Yeah, you could just stay wet all the time and be fine. I already knew Takumi-san and Kanzo-san's weaknesses. I had to worry about Chiami's hidden true nature. As for Rikako-san, honestly, I felt that if I did the same things as last time, she would side with me again. The rest weren't really influential, though. I just had to be careful that they didn't go hysterical or on a rampage. My biggest concern right now was Mochi. It seemed entirely like he would know who the wolves were on gut instinct alone. Wouldn't he do something weird if he found out Haru-chan was a wolf? Though, right now, I was merely considering the kind of people they were, not the guardians that they might have had. I could only hope that they'd went to Mako or the old wolf guy. That'd make them harder to control. Something about Takumi-san was bugging me, though. I can't die yet. Oh, wait. Here's a warning. Those with guardians should be especially careful. I can't die yet. He was attached to Yasumizu because of Tai-san and Kaori-san, and he had a sense of responsibility as the local young leader. When you considered that, him saying he couldn't die right now didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Right now, this wolf loop is teaching you how the wolves operate and can break the rules as a human and not die. Oh, maybe, right? Like, you wolf loop and you wake up as a human with a bucket of water. Maybe people only die because they go out at night because of the water. And maybe if you don't eat the food, you don't fall asleep, because the first loop, we didn't fall asleep in the outhouse. Actually, we didn't fall asleep supernaturally any of the nights, right? Because we didn't eat the food. So if you loop around and don't eat the food and carry a bucket of water around, you might actually be able to walk around at night as a human. Yasunaga-kun had realized it too, so he jumped into the conversation, just like he had done for me last time. On the first loop, Takumi-san revealed that he was the snake on the very first day. What if it was about to happen again? Mochi was a monkey back then, and he was one now too. Though everything else was different. Back then, the other monkey had been Mako. However, if there were some sort of rules for deciding who would get guardians, it wasn't unlikely that they would go to the same ones. If he were the snake, I'd kill him and pass myself off as the snake. We would gain a huge advantage. It was worth considering at least. We're here, Fusaishi-san. As I thought to myself, we arrived in front of the dorm. I could see the misty moonlight accentuating the building's outline. For whatever reason, I already smelled blood. It reminded me of Haru-chan and Kaori-san's brutalized bodies. That sure was terrible. These murders ridiculed and laughed at humanity to the fullest extent. I wanted to have my boundaries when it came to that, at least. The sentiment came to mind. Blood. It faded as soon as Kaori-san said that. She was pointing to the stairs to the dorm. There was blood all over the rusty metal stairs. Why? Why was this here? Whose blood was this? Did someone forget to shelter? Where was their corpse then? Visibility was poor as ever, but I looked around for something humanoid on the ground. A few seconds later, I finally noticed that someone was standing just a few meters ahead. I gasped, and the other wolves only noticed it a few seconds later. I quickly realized that the person there was Chiemi Serizawa. She had something in hand. It was a sawed-off, double-barreled shotgun. When you considered her madness, it made sense. She could totally underestimate the corruption and put herself on the line to kill all the wolves by herself. There was also worth mentioning that she had a gun, a rarity here in Japan. She stood a way better chance than Yoshitsugu Uribe, whose courage only got him torn to pieces. We were only human, and that gun could instantly kill us. I hadn't predicted this. I was off guard. Right as Haru-chan and Kaori-chan squealed, she raised her arm. Honestly, I was impressed. She managed to stay unpredictable every single loop. I hadn't have stood a chance against her if I didn't have my looping. She was a joker to me. A bloody, merciless joker. Alright, I had clearly lost this time. I had to do better next time. Bang? At that moment, her lips moved. Aye! A flash. What I saw wasn't the Reaper, but a smile lost to a crimson explosion. At that moment, I wasn't able to do anything but stand in place, completely frozen. The two behind me shrieked and clutched my shoulders, but I ignored them. Chemi had just committed suicide. With a mischievous smile, she put the sawed-off shotgun in her mouth and blown her head off from the jaw up. It was insanity. This time, she'd gone way beyond whatever I could imagine. What was this? What was this feeling of loss? Was I feeling it because I wouldn't see her ever again this loop? Was it a despair at the fact that a part of my brain was actually thinking, crap, we wasted one night's worth of murders? Or, Haruaki-san. Was it the fact that, don't become... I would never be able to ask her what she'd said. What's going on? Hey, Fusaishi-san. Chiene she just... We can't kill today. Huh? The law says that we can only kill one per night. She probably didn't have a guardian. By sacrificing herself, she protected the humans from losing anyone more valuable. She was probably just a human, and she decided that this was the best way for her to contribute to her side. Then, we can't kill Yasunaga-kun today. Oh no. We have no choice, Kaori-san. If we kill more than one, you won't be able to fulfill your desire either. She outplayed us, completely. Or did she really? I felt like I still couldn't match her cunning no matter how hard I tried. I stayed still for a decent bit, just looking at her immobile remains within the mist. But she died outside. Last time when Mamiya died outside, they determined she had to be a wolf. How did Chiemi not sleep? How did Chiemi not sleep if she's not a wolf? Let's do what we have to. Yes, be careful where you walk. Good night. But she died outside. People will just say Chiemi was a wolf. You just pin that Chiemi was a wolf on her. This is literally what happened night one of the first feast. Or the second feast, sorry. There's arguments to be made that the wolves did. I mean, Chiemi's OD doesn't need sleep. She wouldn't have killed herself if the wolves didn't show up. But you would have just died to the corruption because you didn't shelter. Unless she knows something... Wait, my head hurts. Then, when it was time to return, Haru-chan and I once again put on the mask and left the dining hall fully equipped. There was almost no water in the bucket by this point, but honestly, since our costumes were so wet, it wasn't likely that the bringers of corruption would attack us. Why are they afraid of water? Can you just get a hose? Here is good enough. The construction site is right up the hill. Haru-chan said that right in front of the dorm. Her tone was uncaring as always, but her words seemed to express some consideration. You okay? You're gonna walk by Chiene's body. Yeah. You sure you can handle it? I don't think I can. It'll probably be worse if I could, though. But it's night, so... So what? I don't understand her reasoning. Wait, what if the answer is to make the Saranaga a bigger river? Yeah, he has mentioned how small the Saranaga is. If the river's bigger, maybe the wolves can't, like, get across the water. Then let's stick with the plan. Alright. Think you can trust me? Well, yeah. Maybe. Was that enough to ensure that all went fine from tomorrow onwards? I was worried, but I had no choice but to keep on going. Bye then. I turned around. Ah! A voice from behind stopped me. I turned back at her. She was standing there, still clad in her smallish wolf outfit. Like before, I couldn't see her face, but I felt that something was off. Incoming possession. At the core of it was the fact that She was laughing. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, my God. Was that the... My, oh my, what a masterpiece. I could hardly contain my laughter when you were acting out your role. And to think you even said that Great Lord Shinai was weak. How thrilling and enthralling. You are the very opposite of God-fearing, aren't you? You're... What? Why not use the special powers you mentioned to see what I am? If you stay true to the lie, it might even become truth. Are you Haru-chan? If not, then... the wolf possession? Oh my, what a boring thing to hear from someone like you. You saw the Great Lord Shinai within the red mist, did you not? That was just an illusion. An illusion you could see. What have you seen so far? You have breathed so much of the mountain's energy, you still cannot comprehend it, city dweller. You still do not understand what God is. God? Perhaps you will when you fall, rise, and see this hell many more times. Please tell me. Throwing out my shame and honor, I grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her. What are you? What's happening to me? What's causing this weird phenomenon? I do enjoy having a gentleman rely on me so intensely, but this girl might start to hate you. You're not the same person? Being questioned this much is tiring, so I will give you only a single answer. There are 3 gods. I know that. The Okami-sama are 3 wolves. 2 parents and a child, right? You do not understand. Great Lord Shinai is a warped god made by mashing the 3 together with a mallet and mixing them together. There are 2 more gods besides him. Though, one of them is a worthless god that is as good as dead. And the last one is your enemy. With that, she shoved my hands right away. Looks like a fine gentleman has joined us on this dark, long evening party. Let us meet again tomorrow, city dweller. Wow. The girl dashed away and disappeared into the dark mist. I didn't hear a single sound after that. Good morning. I woke up feeling an overwhelming exhaustion. It was 5 in the morning, a time when Kanzo-san was already active. I wanted to sleep some more, but I couldn't let them suspect that I was a wolf based on the idea that I didn't get enough rest. After returning here last night, I changed my clothes, wiped my body, and wondered how I was supposed to hide the costume parts. In the end, I hid it under some newspaper, which was very cartoonish. If the humans found it just like that, I feel like it'd be the butt of some sort of bizarre joke. Part of me did hope that it would be gone by the time I woke up, though. I'd gone to sleep at 2 in the morning, and sure enough, the costume was gone by the time I woke up. Well, of course it would be. If the costumes remained, you could easily find the wolves just by checking everyone's houses during the day. Last time, when I'd infiltrated Chiemi's room to mess with her guns, I hadn't seen anything like this. Also, if the humans found out there was something so artificial involved in the whole wolfing business, the Omibito side of the story, that the monsters had transformed into humans, would have been rendered unbelievable. No matter how much the locals revered Yasumizu's legends, I felt that the feast wouldn't get anywhere without the fear caused by the idea that they were dealing with something supernatural. Was that thing I'd seen the first time actually Yasunaga-kun or Tai-san wearing the wolf outfit? That didn't seem far off the mark. The mist and the darkness made the costumes look extremely convincing. Maybe that was Great Lord Shinai himself, as he appeared in the red mist that one time. The red mist? CS? Active frames? Reversal at. According to Haru-chan, that was a god, but... forget that. Where was Haru-chan herself? How did she know about my looping? It actually seemed like she even knew about its cause. Possessed by the wolf, the Okami, by the great god. There were 3 gods, and that had nothing to do with Okami-sama, being a group of 3. Was Great Lord Shinai a tripartite god? That's a new word for me. And one of the other 2 was my enemy? What the hell was that supposed to mean? She'd given me a lot of information, but it was all vague and uncertain. Were there mysteries and legends I still didn't know about? That'd make most of my current investigation completely off the mark. Was I missing or misinterpreting something crucial about the info I already had? God. This made me want to rely on Mamiya-san, Tai-san, or Rikako-san's knowledge. But this time, I was their enemy, and I had to kill them all. Though, this time, Mamiya-san was in a decent state, so I would ask her before I got rid of Hashimoto-san. She wouldn't know the true motives behind that. Why was Chimi's face flashing through my mind every now and then? I went outside, intentionally avoided looking at the dorm, and headed to the plaza. Kanza-san and Takumi-san were already there, and they told me about Chimi's death. No one else was missing. Then, all that blood was... Oh well, it didn't matter. As we waited in the plaza, we were eventually joined by Kaori-san. She seemed a lot better than yesterday. Had her mind stabilized a bit once she'd started looking at killing her sons in a positive manner? Let's prepare the food, shall we? Yes. Yesterday, we'd agreed on 5 things. We would focus on information, control, and gathering, as in, we would avoid having secret talks and instead try to listen in on anything the humans had. We would avoid talking about things we weren't supposed to, like the cause of Chami's death. Haru-chan would contribute to the feast once, and then continue being as anti-elder and anti-outsider as possible. Kaori-san would declare that she would follow Yasunaga-kun's vote, and do it even if he was voting for a wolf. Finally, we would fake our guardians. However, I would be the first to act, and only from the 3rd day onwards. The plan was focused mostly on keeping them from looking suspicious or doing something they didn't have to do. I was apprehensive about trying to get them to go wild like Chami did and have them kill more humans. After all, I didn't have the trust or the charisma for that. Of course, my final goal was my own survival, not theirs. There would probably be situations in which I had to use them as human shields, or situations where it was at least an option. But I didn't want to become just a murderer. A situation where I, not Haru-chan or Kaori-san, was the one suspected was the best path to lead us to victory. Also, as an outsider, I had to gain their trust and make them certain I wouldn't betray them at this feast. On top of all that, I would survive. There had been many unexplained deaths during his turn, but there was no denial that he'd survived as a wolf. I thought about these deaths, especially Yoshitsugu and Mochi's, many times so far, but I couldn't really believe that Yasunaga-kun was the one who organized them. He didn't get rid of his allies, and he stood up against Tai-san, even not as blatantly as he did when she was human. Personally, I thought that was the right way to handle it. I had to prepare for anything while trying to make sure all the wolves survived. Anyway, I was silently preparing the food. By the time it was 7, everyone besides Chiemi had gathered in the dining hall. Man, didn't Chiemi show we can just start blasting and not die to corruption? I feel like you do die to the corruption if you do that, though. Yasunaga-kun's face was pale. Apparently she'd committed suicide right in front of his room. Seeing that right after waking up certainly wasn't my idea of a good time. Especially when it was the girl you liked and respected. Mochi didn't seem too fazed by her death. He was too busy helping Yasunaga-kun cope with it. As for Haru-chan... Nii-chan, don't push yourself. Sit there. Do you need a cushion or a blanket? It's fine. I'm alright. Mochi, do you know any herbs that make people feel better? Oh, I guess I'll go look for some garlic or something. Garlic? Yeah, get the copium. Get the copium, Mochi. She was overdoing it. Wouldn't she appear unnatural? Wasn't she supposed to act even more shocked than Yasunaga-kun? Feeling uncomfortable about this, I continued preparing the food when Takumi-san spoke up. As you already know, someone died yesterday. It's Chiemi. Our girl died so soon after coming home. There was some silent noise. Kaori-san muttered Chiemi's name while I created a gloomy expression. I told you. You did, but I think this is weird. Can a human kill like that? It seems animalistic. Dumbass. What's wrong, Oribe-san? Nothing, it's just that the only local wildlife that attack people are boars and moon bears. Did something like that show up? That's ain't it. You know anything, old man? No. That was the end of that exchange. Had she masked her blunder well enough? Making the wolves say things that only they could know was a good way for the humans to find them out. Mochi had fallen for it last time, and there was no guarantee I wouldn't slip up while I talked. I had to make sure I didn't fall into the same situation as she did. But beasts? Badgers? Was her body attacked by the bringer of corruption afterward? I did take a photo. I'll say it again. Delete it before you leave. If that's necessary. If you wish to see it, go ahead. I don't recommend it to sensitive people. We're about to eat, after all. I really don't think any of you should look. You could tell by her expression that she's seen it. She looked like she wouldn't touch food the whole day. Whether we looked or not didn't affect our chances of being found out, so I just raised my hand. Ah, me too. He and I were the only ones who looked at it. The others surely believed looking at it would do no good. I took a look at the back monitor of Hashimoto-san's camera. Yeah, it was completely different from what I'd seen. I was actually pretty close to the results of the corruption I'd seen in previous feasts. It was a mountain of chewed up and torn up meat and bones. It made me nauseous, or at least, I acted like it did. I was used to this at this point. That's awful. Oh, this isn't Wolf? He'd actually said something other than the wolf is coming, and he even asked a question. In response, Kanzo-san just grunted, clearly disappointed. He wanted to use this as evidence to hang the wolves in the feast, but there were some problems. One of them was that Chiemi seemed to have died to the corruption. It didn't make sense. Chi-chan received the corruption. Yes, it appears that she had broken the law of sheltering. But there's no way Chiene could have known that. She was scared of the stories too. Yes. How did this happen? Did she have some business with me? Was that why she was standing in front of my room? Oh, dude, this guy's on the copium. Anything come to mind? Nothing. It even felt like she'd been avoiding me. What? Was the idea that she'd committed suicide about to be glossed over? Was it because they didn't find the gun? That would be... Lying right now would be dangerous. Anyway, we didn't expect this. Let's eat, clean her up, and then talk about what to do next. Wait, I'm no expert, but shouldn't we preserve the scene of the crime? Would it be bad to not clean it up? To us, it's way more important to get rid of the corpse in front of us than find whoever did it. I see. Hashimoto-san? Let's just listen to them. Oh, will the cleanup be done by Muru-san and Makishima-san? Yeah. Then Ki-chan and I will watch the dining hall's surroundings. The rest of you try not to wander too far away from here. Isn't that for the best? What do you think, old man? You're the monkey, aren't you? Yes. I'll leave the patrolling to you. Bring whatever bites. I see. Very well. Hashimoto-san pointed out the necessity for patrols, came out as a reliable volunteer, and became even more trustworthy. On the other hand, he was giving himself a way to talk to Mamiya-san in secret. Was it his way of separating her, whose identity was not confirmed, from the rest of the group? I had to calm down. The first part of his move was obviously great, but I wasn't sure about the second. Hashimoto-san was an active player, but I couldn't tell which of his actions were intentional and which were coincidence. Anyone who can eat should do just that. I would like to have some too. May I? Ah, yes, certainly. Would you like some too, Takumi-san? Yes, of course, I'll have some. Can we really eat this? You had to say that now, of all times? What are you saying? I'm not trying to be needlessly considerate. Someone died today, because of superstition at that. That's why I believe we should throw away superstition and act appropriately. What the hell are you talking about? You suspecting the hag? Unlike how he was so far, Kyonosuke spoke these words without any sarcasm. He had read the mood and chosen to become the resentable but not wrong kind of character. No, he wasn't that considerate. Yoshitsugu, stop. Nosato-san isn't wrong. If you're gonna mope around, then shut up. Mom, you tasted it, right? Something wasn't right here. Was everyone so sharp so early in the game? Is this are we already running the Aconite shit? Of course. Good, Kari-sons understand what they meant. But I think I should try again. Nice, good job. No, I'll try it this time. This was my time. Everyone wanted to suspect me over anyone else, so I had to eat before they did. This was the only way to make them understand that I, didn't add any poison to the food. Unfortunately for them, we weren't pulling anything like that this time. I tasted the food, gave everyone a show of me rewashing the dishes, making them finally agree that the food was safe. We had breakfast then. Mamiya-san and Yasunaga-kun refused, while Haru-chan ate quite a lot actually, and then Takumi-san and Kanzo-san left the dining hall. Alright, I'll walk around and keep watch. There might be dangerous beasts here, so you should stay inside as much as you can. But shutting yourselves in isn't good either. Consider this free time, but don't go where they can't hear anyone. I'm supposed to go too, right? Anyone else want to come? Okay, then it'll just be the two of us. I didn't understand what his final words meant. What if accepting the offer was the right choice? Let's clean up. Okay. That was my job, so this was the right thing for me to do, right? By the time we finished cleaning up, only 5 people were left in the dining hall. Old ladies praying. Miko, your hair is a mess. Let me comb it. No! Shut up. Tai-san was in her praying mode. Rikako-san was caring for Meiko, who seemed in a foul mood. Kiyonosuke seemed to want to call her out to her, while Yoshitsugu-kun just seemed pissed in general. The journos were outside, and Takumi-san, who'd returned for a moment, had left once again. Old man said he's going to widen his patrol range. He basically said we're doing the feast in the afternoon. Got anything against that? Just like yesterday, no one argued. People need reasons to not follow an already established process. Yasunaga-kun was the only one who'd point that out and... Alright, Takumi-ni. He looked really drained. You want to talk, Yasu? Haru, Shikamochi, I'm borrowing him. Fusashi-kun, I'm going back to my place. Okay. Sorry, you have to be so considerate of him. It ain't that. You okay? Yeah. I'm fine. I'm Fridge. Aniki, you dumbass. Did you forget? You were prepared for this shit yesterday. Yoshi, everyone has weaknesses. If your mom... What? Is Yasu the badger? Hold on. Is Yasu the badger? Why is he acting so funky? No, that's way too dark. Forget I said that. You too, Kaori-san. No, I was the one who had to say that. You've lost this loop. I think you're in checkmate already. Really? Because of the journalists? I'm ready. Takumi-san and Yasunaga-kun left. Haru-chan, let's go grab something nearby. Oh, okay. You're not scared of the mist? Yeah, I got used to it. Oh, that was Mochi fishing. Haru, acting as weird as always, left alongside Mochi. This situation was clearly set up by Hashimoto. Everyone split up and we were free to have secret talks. What was the purpose of this? Was I just overthinking it? Were they just taking the opportunity given to them with no ulterior motives whatsoever? Yeah, everyone is like on point. That's enough for now. Fusashi-san, go have a rest. There's still time until noon. A rest? Guess I'll go outside then. Everyone left. Don't they know that the Yomi's mist is where the corruption comes from? There's that too. I'm kind of worried, so I'll have a look. Now, how would a good wolf spend this strange time? Yeah, Monkey talks to Mamiya. Monkey knows she has a role. You kill her. Try to claim the role. Monkey counterclaims you and you die. And then Mochi grabbed Haru. The other monkey grabbed Haru. Was I a dumbass? Well, I did have some ideas, but they all seem like bad moves. Traps, basically. Monkey is actually busted. Yeah, Monkey is OD. Could I eavesdrop someone's secret chats? It'd work when it was dark, but during the day, you could see anyone with a whopping few meters. Could I join in one of the conversations? Wasn't it best to just avoid secret chats in the first place? Was it normal for wolves to feel so paranoid? A part of me couldn't help but suspect that Mochi or Hashimoto-san was hiding in the mist. I couldn't see or hear anyone, so my brain perceived the world as empty. Before the unease and loneliness took over, such situations made you feel all-powerful. No one would blame me for anything I did. I could lie down on the road, go commando, shout out that I was a wolf, but all of that was just an illusion. Was this all some sort of trap to get a wolf to do something stupid? Or was this some sort of filter that caught those so paranoid that they actually believe stuff like this? Oh, crap. I just wanted to scream and run around. I wanted to do something no one could predict. I looked up to the sky. And suddenly the ground vanished beneath my feet. Huh? Ow. Kanzo-san laid a trap or something? Oh, basically I'd walked over a small cliff. Since I was unstable and fell feet first, I'd ended up hitting my legs, ass, back, and head on the ground below. Even if there was no feast, someone could actually die in the mist by accident, and I know now better than ever. As I tried to get up, I felt an intense pain in my leg. Ow. Ow, I twisted my ankle. Also, the area below the plaza was clearly out of bounds, so I was breaking the rules here. Though, this was an accident I hadn't planned myself, so I probably wouldn't draw any more suspicion than I already had. As I stood up, "What are you doing?" I heard a voice behind my right side, and along with it, something metallic. I instantly raised my hands, but the pain that came over me made me groan. Ow. I nearly fell to my knees out of pain, but I was afraid that it wouldn't tolerate any sudden movements, so I just slightly bent my body. You fall? Yes. Did you twist it? Yes, sorry. That was clumsy of me. Another metallic sound followed by a few different ones. I had no idea what they meant, so I just became more tense. I took out the bullets. It's fine. I slowly turned to the right. Kanzo-san now had his gun over his shoulder, not ready to fire. That let me finally relax, but my leg still hurt, as I might have sprained it. Can you walk? After a little rest. Left side? Yes. Here. To my surprise, he rested the gun in a more comfortable position, then came up, crouched, and lent me his shoulder. Aw. He seemed much shorter than me, but it was probably an illusion caused by his posture. We were probably about equal in height. Also, his body was a whole lot more solid than mine. Every part touching me seemed to be covered in hard muscle. I wasn't too fond of the idea of being punched by this beast. Now that I thought about it, all the wolves so far were physical weaklings. They even needed guns to make it through direct confrontation during the day. Sorry for the trouble. If you're not used to it, don't do it. Okay. Who do you think are the wolves? This wasn't like him either. He really didn't seem like the type of person to just ask that kind of thing here, of all places, and from the person he trusted the least. From everyone's perspective, it's me. I came at such a suspicious time. You all know nothing about me. You're shady, but that's got nothing to do with being a wolf. A considerate response from him? Something wasn't right here. Is he the badger? What was I to do here? Got it. Okay. Wow, you need a couple keys here. You need key 20 here? I'm going to stop here, actually. I'm going to stop here. Why? Because it's late. It's bedtime. Yeah, I think he might be the badger. Okay, let's go to the title. Put a little bit of music on. Okay. Yeah, let me talk about his granddaughter. Yeah, it makes so much sense. Wow. A break from this so far impossible loop. Okay, cool. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Ablaze and Blemir for the raid. Big shout outs to them. Follow them if you're not doing so already. They play fighting games, JRPGs, and are all around quite entertaining. I will be back. Here's my schedule. So I'm going out of town next week, or not next week. I'm going out of town tomorrow for a few days. So I will not be streaming tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday. If you're looking for stuff to watch, tomorrow the WASD Bluu tournament is going on, the beginner tournament. So be sure to check that out. And then Sunday, I'm back. I'll be playing Guilty Gear Strive, which will be the new patch. So the patch notes are out. I'm super excited. Testament looks like they got super buffed. Happy Chaos didn't get nerfed into the ground, hopefully. That patch is live on Friday. I'll be able to play on Sunday when I get back in town. Other stuff. We are 2 followers away from 300. If you are somehow here and not following me already, I know most of my Raging Loop crowd is already following me, but if you're not already following me, please consider doing so. Or follow me on Twitter or YouTube to see my content. Twitter is Go Live updates and polls and things like that. And then YouTube is my VODs. 1 day after streaming, I upload to YouTube. So you can see all this on YouTube if you want to go back to the beginning of Raging Loop, if this intrigued you, or if you want to see my VODs from my fighting games. Last announcement, next Saturday, June 18th, I am doing a premiere stream, or a debut stream. I have gotten 5 other VTubers to play first to 5s against me. So I'm going to be playing a first to 5 in Bluu CF, Melty Blood type Lumina, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Under Night Inbirth, and Guilty Gear Strive. In all 5 of those games, I'm playing a first to 5 against a different other VTuber. I'm going to highlight them, I'm going to shout them out, and then I'm going to go into a presentation about where I come from, my lore, my likes, my dislikes, stuff you can expect from the stream, my goals, and everything like that. I don't have a new model or anything to reveal. That would be super hype, but maybe one day. So yeah, that'll be next Saturday. We got some stacked matches lined up, so I'm super excited to see that. I think that's it. I think that is it. Let me see if I want to raid anyone today. Just get y'all some more points. I do see that you okay, let's raid. Milpy's playing Grand Blue. Let's see. And Fed's streaming Corpse Factory. And Chloe's streaming Final Fantasy. I'm going to avoid the Final Fantasy stream. I'm going to send y'all to Milpy. I'm a big fan of Milpy. Previously known as Moopoke. Previously known as Moopoke. And rebranded. Big Persona player. Oop, this is different music. Big Persona player and all that. So say hi, say what's up, and I will see you all Sunday for Guilty Gear Strive. Have a great weekend.